Okay, make sure I got no echo here. We should be live. Wait to see some people to jump in here first. All right, I see people jumping in here now. All right, we got a lot of people in here now. Hey, how's the audio? Is it good? Looks like I got everything going here. Check, check, check. Looks like the audio is okay, but I'll wait for some word. Ryan is in the house. Everything sounds good. No echo. All right, good to know. So yeah, I've been running some errands and whatnot, and I'm back. Time to check some 18Z data, some 0Z data. The new model run's coming in. The GFS will be starting in about, an hour or so. I don't know if we'll be long enough to get the European data here, but we've got the new 18Z stuff that I haven't looked at too much yet. Kurt Kaplan is in the house. Let me see if I can do this. There we go, so I can see Kurt better. Washington Weather Chasers in the house. Yeah, we are getting close. It's almost game time. That cold air you can see on the satellite imagery. This is what's going on right now. Look at it just spilling off the coast. And look at how fast these cloud tops cool down. A lot of instability going on. You can see the Arctic air pouring right across southeast Alaska. There's Juneau right here. There's Sitka. See how they're getting that northeast wind there coming off some of the higher terrain. Snow fields out there. Make it snow. Yeah, I wish I had that power. Part of the thing I was going to do tonight is just make sure to know that there are caveats to this setup as well. Like any single snow event that happens in the Pacific Northwest, there are bust potential with every single setup, especially with one like this where you got a polar lobe that's not really coming through that progressively and getting right over the region, and it's going to be right off the coastline. We're dealing with a very tricky situation here, but the good news is that we do have more than one chance of that precipitation to occur as snowfall and potentially on into next week. And some of the models are actually showing that this is going to last on in for, much of next week and on in towards next weekend as well. I was going to take a look at that here coming up also. In fact, let's do this. I'm going to look at the GFS and we're going to go out to North America, and I'll make this bigger for now so everybody can see it a little bit better. And we're going to look at upper, let's just do 500 millibars first. I've not looked at the 18Z data just yet. East Vancouver Island gusting 45 miles per hour. It's gusting 30 here. It's a little bit breezy out there, so a lot of you guys are probably seeing that. The rain is definitely, we've warmed things up a bit here today, but that's definitely going to switch up tomorrow when this cold air arrives. But let's take a look. Yeah, we got a lot of people from BC in here right now too. So, okay, let's play through this here. And not only are we going to look at this polar lobe here, it's close. It's right there off the coastline. So you'd like to see this a little bit further inland for better widespread snow chances, but still some areas are probably going to get some meaningful snowfall out of this, but not everybody is going to get that meaningful snowfall. That's the trick. And that's usually the trick in pretty much every single event that comes through the Pacific Northwest. So there's bust potential, there's overperformance potential, there's some areas getting big amounts, some areas getting very little, but most of us should see some snowflakes in the air here across the region over the next few days. The accumulating snowfall is much less of a guarantee. So you can see the big ridge up here directing flow back down out of the northeast coming off of southeast Alaska. It's kind of what's going on right now. And then this is the flow here right now that's bringing that off of southeast Alaska, that cold air spilling back out over the Gulf of Alaska. And then the polar lobe drops down. You can see we got the 522 line there. There's 522 reemerges. And it does get out right on the Washington coast, covers much of Vancouver Island. 525 is hanging right across western Washington. It's going to be really close to being able to bring down sticking snowfall towards the surface. And then the 525 line is right over the Cascades there, and it's kind of bouncing around here for the next couple of days. You can see off and on with this upper level low right next to the coastal areas. And there's some interesting areas are going to get some pretty heavy snowfall, like the Washington coast. Some of the coastal range of Oregon has that potential as well. Again, the very cold upper air aloft with that polar lobe is right off the coastline there. So then you can kind of see a portion of that lobe eject, and we get this next one here kind of setting up right over the west coast. And you can still see we're in this cold north flow coming down here through the extended forecast a little bit here. We're out 230 hours, and another polar lobe tries to drop down here as well. And look at this. GFS wants to keep us pretty chilly. Look at this monster ridge just dominating things up into Alaska, keeping that flow out of the north on the GFS all the way out through hour 300. In fact, that's still a cold flow there as well. So yeah, the GFS is in agreement. We're going to stay cold for a while. Dan's Backcountry, thank you for your generosity. When you get a chance, I have a 3-day weekend, following weekend, 7th through 9th, and I'm thinking about doing something in the North Cascades. Well, it depends on how high you're going to be, because it's going to be 7th to 9th. You're probably going to be really cold up there, and there's probably a lot of snow. So I would bring snowshoes. I would be prepared for a winter. Hopefully you're snowboarding or skiing up there, or hunting or something where you can like bring really warm clothing, because yeah, you're going to be pretty chilly with any elevation at all, and even probably into the lower elevations as well. So I would definitely be prepared for winter conditions. The good thing is the snow will be nice and dry, and there'll be a lot of it. So if that's part of your plan, that's pretty cool. I like that YouTube allows me to click like and heart and reply to these super chats that come through. It's very nice. But yeah, so if you just saw that again, polar lobes hanging out, north flow, extended GFS shows that. So let's do our due diligence here, and we'll check out your GFS ensembles as well. So this GFS has 30 ensemble members. This is averaged out between all 30 of them. So there goes our polar lobe that we've been talking about, seems like for days now, hanging off our coastline. Ridge still dominates up across Alaska, still getting kind of that cooler signal there. And we're hanging out. That's the cooler signal here across Pacific Northwest. So GFS ensembles are in agreement with that as well. And I mean, look at this. We're all the way up to February 14th. They're kind of keeping things going. Is that Valentine's Day there and the Friday the 14th? I can't remember exactly, but sounds about right. And yeah, that ridge dominating, GFS in good agreement as we go through the extended forecast that we're going to remain cold here in the Pacific Northwest. Again, I'll just loop this through. We're looping through 16 days here, and you can kind of see, again, the troughing, the blues, the lower heights at 500 millibars hanging out here in the Pacific Northwest all the way through the extended. And if you don't believe that, we can look at other things like, let's look at, we'll do temperature, and we'll do surface, and we'll do, for example, 5-day anomaly here, a 2-meter temperature, which is right at the surface. We're going to scroll through this here pretty quick. And you can see how we remain cold all the way through the 2-week plus period as we go on in through mid-February there. So yeah, that's a good signal if you like cooler weather here for the Pacific Northwest. Now, does the European and the artificial intelligence show that as well? That's another story. We'll have to take a look at that. But let's do this first. Let's look at the artificial intelligence also. And let me make sure I'm not missing anything on the chat coming up here. Garrett Hartung says European ensembles are even colder, so that is good news. Let me make that big again here, and we'll go to North America. Boom, boom. And we'll go to upper level heights and just kind of get a hint at what the artificial intelligence is showing. Now, there's the polar low we've been talking about, ridge dominating Alaska, northeast flow across British Columbia, north wind stays, ridge stays, polar lobes a little bit too far east, but still kind of a chilly flow there. And yeah, you see these lobes moving around. I mean, not quite as cold as what the GFS was showing, but it's still on the chillier side. And if we look at, we'll go to surface temperature, and we'll go to 5-day temperature anomaly here, and we'll scroll through this really quick. You can see it. You can see that we are probably going to be below normal here as we go into mid-February. So probably going to get some additional chances at some point here, maybe for some lower elevation snow. That's not too bad a bet right now. Now, if we take a look at the European ensemble, let's just go out 144 hours on this 2-meter temperature anomaly. And what's going on here? Oh, this is just going really quick. So it goes out 5 days. But you can see the next 5 days, clearly we're going to be below normal. Let's do the 12Z just to check it out. I've not looked at this in the 12Z run yet this morning. And yeah, you see that signal there across Western Canada, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, Alberta, below normal, and the above average temperature there across Alaska leads me to believe there's going to be some kind of ridging here. So we can go ahead and take a look at the upper air heights. And we'll look at 500 millibar heights, and we'll back this up, and we'll play this through, and we'll see our polar lobe hanging around. Ridge dominates Alaska, north flow here into Western Canada. Somewhat similar to what the GFS is showing. That ridge is maybe a little bit close there. We'll see, but it's got the troughing here kind of set up, and things start to smooth out as you go far enough out into an ensemble forecast there. But yeah, something similar to what the GFS is showing, so not bad at all. Port Neal, North Vancouver Island at sea level, seeing accumulating snows this evening. Yes, yeah, so you can see that must be this very cold air aloft. It's arriving now. So this is the boundary of it. It's moving down Vancouver Island. So yeah, these showers, these low top convective showers, very unstable because the relatively warm Pacific Ocean, the cold Arctic air moving off there. And that's a pretty strong lapse rate in the lower levels of the atmosphere. So you start to bring those snow showers just dragging that cold air down to the surface. So yeah, that makes sense totally. Washington State DOT plows are already out of Chehalis. How come the daytime warms up during the next few days instead of staying cool, and can we change once the snow hits? Yeah, that's the thing, is once you go through the daytime hours, if you get some sunshine out there, you're going to raise the temperatures probably above freezing, not much above freezing, but if the snow is continuing for any given areas, then you're more likely to stay below freezing with active precipitation, if that makes sense. But then some of the models have been hinting at another system coming up the Oregon coastline and allowing more cold air to get pulled out back over west of the Cascades. So it's probably that period, maybe Wednesday, Thursday, when we pull some of that cold air back in, then we throw a cloud shield and the precipitation back over that we might remain below freezing if one of those systems lines up just right back into the area. And that's actually what I was going to look at here. In fact, let me go back to the European Artificial Intelligence, which I have not studied yet, the 18Z run. Sorry, my body's still digesting a little bit here. Let's go to this, and we'll go to Pacific Northwest region. We'll go to Northwest. We'll make that small. And what I want to do is also show the artificial intelligence, the dew point there as well. So on the right, here we go. Upper level low drops down the coastline. So we kind of know what's coming here. We're going to have this upper level low, and we're going to have showers spinning around that. But I also want to take a look at a couple other things in the extended forecast. So now, if you look here, we go on through next week, and artificial intelligence kind of withdrew on that Pacific system coming from the south. However, I have a hunch that means it's going to be coming out of there it is, out of the northwest. So that could be a significant snowmaker. That's moving into a very cold air mass, most likely right there. So let's back that up right before that precipitation starts on the day Friday, and we'll go out to Friday here. Here we are on Friday, 018Z. Look at these dew points. I mean, across Southwest BC, you're in the teens, 24. Portland is 24. Willamette Valley's in the 20s. Washington Coast even. So let's go to 0Z, 25 Seattle, 28 Portland, or 0Z. When does the precip start? For Portland and Seattle, we'll just call it 12Z on Saturday. So there we go. You can see this would most likely be starting as snowfall for Seattle and Portland. You can see that slug of moisture kind of moving through there as we go on in through the day on Sunday as well. And you see, yeah, we have some cold air around. So there's potential for a nice snowmaker here after this initial system drops upon us. So I want to also take a look here as we go through the day Sunday. So when do we start to drop these dew points? As we go through Monday, it looks like Monday morning, Seattle goes to 29. And we go to 28 on Tuesday morning, 27 on Wednesday morning. So you can see it's kind of the cooler air slowly leaking into the Pacific Northwest. And then that next system kind of comes out of the Northwest there. So that's what the artificial intelligence is showing right now. The tricky part is here, it's going to be quite marginal for some areas, but again, lots of cold air aloft. So it's going to be a tricky forecast coming up for the next few days. Now, I also want to do this with the GFS, the 18Z as well. Let me catch up on the chat here a little bit, though. Wind advisory on South Whidbey Island right now. Oh, I just saw that, like a smattering of things. I ate like a power bar and some tofu and peanuts and whatever was around that I could grab quickly. Okay, click down. The GFS and the 18Z Euro both have the Pacific system coming from the south. Yeah, it's been interesting that the the artificial intelligence has had it coming up from the south for a few days now, and that's taken it away. But now the 18Z GFS and the the GFS and the European deterministic are showing that system coming from the south. So we'll take a look at the GFS here. Now, I know the GFS is probably going to run a little bit colder here if we go on in through the day Saturday. You can kind of see the low pressure system at the surface there. And what we're looking at here is dew point temperatures here, because it lets you know what kind of cold air is moving into the region a lot of times. There's the surface low dropping down. And as we go on in through Monday, you see Seattle start to cool off as we go through the day Monday. Upper level low, though, starts to peel away. And that's a problem because as it peels away, it's less likely to spread moisture back up into like the Seattle Metro and maybe the Portland Metro or Vancouver, BC. It could take that precipitation away as things start to get colder there. So what happens as we go on in through the week here? You can see the low pressure system spinning off the coastline. Looks like there's another slug of moisture there coming towards Oregon, and that rides up. Yep, that could come across the Willamette Valley and up towards the Puget Sound there. So that's when the snow event for the GFS would be, I imagine. So let's play through that. So first things first, we have the convergence zone activity. This could start to come through very late tonight or early tomorrow morning. We see snowflakes mixing in into the lower elevations north of Seattle mainly, maybe Vancouver Island, BC. As we go through the day tomorrow, we're going to have these snow showers off and on during the day tomorrow. Of course, you have better chances the longer you're under some of these showers, pulling some of that cold air down. And then we scroll off into Sunday. You notice the precipitation starts to lighten up a bit, but we do get additional rounds as we go through the day Sunday on the GFS. Arctic boundary hung up right across BC. There's the low right off the Washington coast. And then this starts to pinwheel a little bit away from the coastline there. And that's when the precipitation starts to wane a bit. How many showers will still be left around once that is pulling away from the coastline? You can see still some moisture trying to move up at times. And you got to be careful with that too, because, you know, at a tenth of an inch or 2/10 of an inch of moisture moves up into that cold air. That's really disruptive snowfall. That's a 2 inches of snow in the Seattle Metro when you're at 30 degrees or something is really problematic. But then as we go through Thursday, so there goes that next system coming up here. And it even shows that hint of freezing rain, maybe for some of the Willamette Valley, Oregon coast again, and then it spreads some moderate snow up across Washington, potentially towards Seattle also as we go on in through the later portion of next week and through next weekend. Then it wants to throw another system at us there into the cold air. So that would be a pretty exciting forecast if the GFS does verify. Now, let's do something here really quick also. So that system comes up, and as it starts to move over Portland there on 12Z Friday. Let's put that at 12Z. Where are we? Yeah, and you can see, I don't know why it shows rain for Portland there. You can see the dew points are squarely in the 20s. There'd be some pretty dramatic evaporative cooling going on there, and it would bring the snow level down to the surface quite easily. And as we go on in through Friday afternoon, Seattle at 29, dew point. Yeah, that would be snowfall at that point as well. So what else do we have to do here? We have to look at the European as well on the 18Z. So we're going to go ahead and do this. And we're going to go to, actually got to go to deterministic there. I want to take a look at the 18Z. I heard that it has something coming from the south as well. So let's look at multi-parameter. We'll do that, close that down, and we'll take a look at the European. So again, does it have it tonight? It kind of cut back a little bit. No, it has it like early tomorrow morning. The convergence zone snow is going southwest BC. Some of these showers moving through are going to no doubt be affecting portions like places like Olympia. There's going to be some rain shadowing as this upper level or the surface low and the upper level low are right off the coastline there. Those westerlies are going to hit the Olympics. A little bit of a rain shadow for some of the Seattle metros. I know some people are going to be upset that they're not getting this snowfall as you go on in through the day Sunday, but some of that may start to swing around the Olympics there as well. European, and that's an interesting period right there as we go Monday night into Tuesday morning. Some of that moisture is still spreading back up across the region. I imagine that would be cold enough to be all snow and potentially sticking snow for the Seattle metro there. You can see the coastal areas still getting some showers. And we scroll off and still see the round of showers moving across the area. And then we almost get like a redevelopment here, and it gets a little Pacific moisture kind of moving in with it. And right at the end of the run, you can kind of see that snow moving up towards the Seattle area. Willamette Valley, Cascades, Southern Oregon getting a nice shot there. Okay, so we're caught up with the global models as of right now. Jeremy D, thank you for the generosity. Never trust the GFS. Yeah, I only trust it when it lines up with the Euro, and that it kind of does right there, but it is a little bit on the cooler side. Nathan Gomez, thank you for the generosity. I love snow being from Pendleton. Hopefully we get something in Portland. Yeah, we've got some chances coming up here. Let's see what else. What else are we talking about here? 32 feet in McCall. The European, the people who work for the Europeans say that the AI is more accurate, like with 500 millibar troughs and ridges positioning versus their deterministic run. So that's what they say right now. I know Garrett shared some verification scores that were kind of hit and miss, and I forgot which one was the top model. This is not quite as good as February 2019, and I can actually show you guys a little bit of that here. Let's go to favorites, and we will go to. I got to change this default web page that just shows up every time I click on something there. I don't know. Okay, so we're going to bring this up. I'm a member, so we're going to go to. Oh, it's kicking me off here. Well, we just changed credit cards, so that might be why. But okay, so advertising. We'll go ahead and go to. We're going to check out February 2019. I'm just going to show you guys a couple of things with that. And even February 2019 was not an old school classic Arctic outbreak. But we will check it out. If you remember, we only got down, like one of our daily highs was right around 32 or 33 for Seattle. So we didn't spend any time like all day below freezing during that snow event there. But it was a very good snowmaker, no doubt. So if we go to February 1st, we're going to go to parameters. We're going to go 500 millibars. Yeah, I've always been a paying member of this channel, so it's weird to have to go through these. But here goes that polar lobe. And you see that one? It's quite a bit stronger than what we're dealing with now. You saw what we're dealing with, like a 519, 522, so 5220 is what we've been dealing with off the coastline there. And you notice this one is more progressive and drops down a bit further. So it's a little bit different in that aspect. This is a stronger polar lobe than what we're dealing with now, for example. And if I go ahead and show you that, we'll just pull up the European here and we'll go to upper level heights and we'll go to 500 millibars and we'll scroll where we are with this polar lobe drops down the coastline. You can see it. It's a little bit, it's right on the borderline there. It's a little bit too far to the west. And you can see 519 versus 510, 509. So it was a stronger polar lobe in February 2019. But there's more than one way to get snowfall in here, and we are going to try to pull some colder air in. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we're probably going to remain chilly through the extended forecast. And then you still got this very cold upper level low. There's convection possibility, convergent zone activity, and yeah, so we could get some snowfall out of this. But I also want to take a look at some of the most recent model runs as well on how much snow we're going to get. So let's just take a look at that right now. We're going to go to winter and we're going to go to snow depth change. We'll zoom in on some regions here. I want to go in a little bit closer so we can actually see some stuff. And in fact, let's do Seattle first. We'll zoom in on Seattle. You can see Southwest BC there as well. So you'll notice when you go out 144 hours, there's some people that are going to be kind of disappointed out here. You might get off and on some small accumulations that total 1 to 2 inches or something around the Seattle Metro. You see SeaTac there, positive snow depth change in inches. So you can kind of see how as we go through the next 144 hours, this kind of hit and miss. But I'm telling you, this, if you're down across portions of Tacoma and just off in Puyallup and stuff like that, and you end up getting 3, 4, 5 inches of snowfall, that's a big deal. And then you can see as you go Everett northbound there, I-5, that's close to 6 inches, right close to I-5 there. Skagit, Whatcom counties, I-5's getting measurable snowfall. You see Southwest BC, what's over 11 inches of snowfall. That's right out towards the sea level as well, right on the coast. And there's a chance for some upslope flow depending on just if the Fraser River outflow plays nice with the Olympic Mountains there. And also I want to point out the coastal areas. Highway 101 is under the gun here, and places like Forks are going to get some pretty big snowfall amounts, some of the west facing slopes, especially when you get a little bit of elevation. And you might even get some snow out to the ocean beaches with this setup, some of these convective showers and the upper level low being very close to the coastline. So we'll scroll off a little bit more, and then you can kind of see this. Just there's I-5 here. So there's 405. 167 is here. That's 6 inches for Ken East Hill. You start to get out towards Covington and Enumclaw and Black Diamond, you're looking at 6, 7, 8 inches of snowfall. You get away from over 405, even you're 2, 3, 4, 5 inches of snow. You get into the foothills at all. And again, this is I-5. Look at that. That's 6, 7 inches over the next few days. So you can see the problem we're having, trying to communicate to people, hey, there's going to be some rain shouting for the Seattle Metro here, no doubt. Some, Whidbey Island and whatnot. And so, yeah, Bellingham showing 7 inches of snowfall. And remember, this goes out 144 hours. Now, if we look at Portland, I mean, look at this. Some of the Willamette Valley is showing up with some of this measurable snowfall as well. Let's try to break that down a little bit here. So we scroll on in. And this is, let me back up here. This is one of the reasons why the settlers here chose Seattle when they first came to the Pacific Northwest. This is how in tune they were with the weather. They didn't know, but they just kind of did through observation that Seattle was often rain shadowed. It was often snow shadowed versus surrounding areas. You go spend a winter out in the foothills there or in the Cascades, you're going to have a hard time, and you might not last more than a couple of years. You get down to lower elevations and, you start to notice that, hey, it doesn't rain quite as much here in downtown Seattle. Downtown Seattle gets about 11% less rain than just SeaTac, and that is because of rain shadowing coming off the Olympic Mountains. So the settlers knew what they were doing, and that's why the population kind of conglomerated to Seattle, because generally speaking, it's better than surrounding areas. It's not quite as windy as Whidbey Island or the San Juans and things like that. It's not as cold up in Bellingham where the Fraser River outflow is going on. It's not as stormy as the coastline. So the settlers knew what they were doing, and that's why this is the biggest population center in the Pacific Northwest. So I just wanted to throw that out there as well. So now taking a look at Portland. So it looks like most of this, so this is showery activity here as we go through Monday. So what goes on? We go on in through Tuesday. You can see, again, kind of, look at Portland. Look at Portland as you go on in through Tuesday night into Wednesday. You're picking up some snowfall. Look at Kelso. Look at Chehalis. 6 inches. Some of the I-5 corridor down to the Willamette Valley is getting, 2, 3, 4 inches of snowfall as well. Look at the coastal range getting some nice amounts. How much we'll get out towards the beaches? Hard to tell. The resolution on the European here might not be that great to pick up just how much is going to get off towards the coastline. But you can kind of see the issues we're dealing with here. But good snowfall coming from the mountains. Going to be high quality stuff up there, no doubt. I forget, do we have Spokane on here? We do not have Spokane, so we'd have to go all the way out to states and go to Washington. Okay, let me check on the chat here. Let's see what's going on. European ensemble has the slightest of edges over the AF artificial intelligence for 500 millibar heights in 11 to 15 days, 6 to 10 day. The artificial intelligence does have the edge over the European deterministic. Okay, makes sense. The winds are strong out of the northwest, gusty winds, thunder, snow. Yeah, there's thunder, snow potential tomorrow. I'll show you some of that here in a bit. Yeah, the further you get east, you're going to get more snow, as I just went over and showed you. I hope you guys saw that. Troutdale, I mean, yeah, it's tough to call right now, but there's potential into the Willamette Valley, as you saw with the last European model run. Yeah, and that's another problem with Seattle. Just an inch of snowfall when you're at 30 degrees is highly problematic. I mean, it's really rough on the city. And reasonably so, because you try to go down a hill when it's 30 degrees and there's an inch of snow on the ground. I dare you to try to come out of some of these driveways and some of these hills around here. My hill is fairly steep out in front of my house, and I've slid down in not much snow at all. You know, you get out of control. It doesn't matter if you have four-wheel drive or not once you start sliding. So it's very tricky. And some of the hills in Seattle are exceptionally steep. There's all kinds of weird nooks and crannies and turns and whatnot in the city there. A lot of hills. Yeah, so just an inch of snowfall below freezing is a big issue. So let's check out eastern Washington also. So here we go. Looks like you get a little bit of snowfall overnight tonight there. Not too much. You can see some wintry precip. Looks mainly Highway 2. There's Spokane getting a bit more as you go through Sunday night. Still some showers coming in there. And then let's look, see what happens. So it looks like the next round is coming up across Oregon. There's probably some of that moisture associated with the atmospheric river. Idaho border, probably Moscow. It looks like Spokane up towards 3 inches. But it's kind of hit and miss, you know, sporadically accumulating. And we got 144 hours. And again, then we have the potential for that next system kind of riding in here. So again, look at eastern Oregon. Oh my goodness. Look at some of these snowfall amounts across the higher terrain. And the reason for that is this. We're going to back out of here and we're going to northwest. So we got this atmospheric river bouncing around here as we go through Sunday. Then it bounces back north on the day Sunday and tries to get up into Washington a bit there. Might be a little bit too warm for Boise to get snow, but definitely in the surrounding terrain there. Atmospheric river bounces again north on Monday as that system passes through. And we really got to watch this here too, because, you know, some of this upper level low may pick some more of that moisture up. And you can kind of see a little bit of that highlighted as we go on in through Monday night and Tuesday. So that could bring some additional precipitation here. So again, a lot of nowcast scenarios coming up. And again, you kind of get redevelopment of this low, and that allows some moisture to start to spread back northward there. So yeah. Yeah, that would be a pretty amazing sight to see Cape Disappointment with some snow. That would be really pretty cool. I'm tempted to go out there and look at that maybe on Sunday or something. There's always the chance here, once we get the cold air behind the mountains, that if you get a low pressure situated correctly, that you get strong winds through the gorge, for example. But not seeing too much of that right now. You can see we've got some east winds through the gorge there. Where the strongest winds are going to be, Fraser River, actually reversal east through the Strait of Juan de Fuca coming out over the ocean there. And then there's some gusty winds there, maybe on Tuesday morning, a little bit out of the south, but nothing too extreme. And then as the slow pinwheels down the coast, you can kind of see the winds pick up through the gorge and the Stampede Gap. Still the Fraser River winds going as you go on in through Thursday morning. And they do get a little robust there out of the east. So yeah, would be pulling cold air out to meet that low, and depending on the thickness of that, could either be snow or freezing rain for portions of the Willamette Valley, maybe even out towards the coastline with that. So yeah. You're probably going to see an advisory, a winter weather advisory, I would imagine. Let's go ahead and let's look at the latest from the National Weather Service. Why is that doing that? Okay, let me do this. There we go. So yeah, if we click on this, I'm going to click on this winter weather advisory. Let's see what cities it says. Does it say anything about cities here? Where winter storm watch and advisory is in effect here. Let's click on that. Right now we got Prairie Ridge, Woodinville, Enumclaw, Maple Valley, Bonnie Lake, Covington, Sawyer, and Monroe. I don't like the way they do this still. Because you can see I clicked way down into Pierce County and they're talking about Monroe and Maple Valley up in King County. This goes through 10 p.m. Saturday. Total accumulation is 2 to 6 inches. East Puget Sound lowland. So there's going to be that sharp cutoff there that I did mention. What does the winter storm watch say right now? Same areas. Pretty similar there. Yeah, I don't like how when you click around here, it's not mentioning, like, is Lake Stevens included in that? You know, how far? I wish they would talk about that a little bit more. But Olympia also has a winter weather advisory in effect, up to 3 inches through tomorrow. So you can kind of see the difficulty that someone like me with the Pacific Northwest Weather Channel has in trying to communicate this, because it's like, okay, if you get 3 inches of snow in Tacoma, that's a big deal. And then somebody in Seattle just gets some flakes in the air. How do you can kind of try to point that out like I did, but somebody's always going to be disappointed. And so that's why I try to put out these disclaimers here that there's going to be somebody who gets disappointed. Somebody will get some nice snowfall amounts and so on. If we go up to Bellingham here, winter storm watch in effect. Let's look at the advisory first. 35 miles an hour, 2 to 6. So it's pretty similar there in the advisories. And then the winter storm watch is still pretty similar there. I mean, oh no, am I not looking at the, okay, I think that's what I'm doing wrong here. Okay, here we go. Winter weather advisory, winter storm watch. So winter weather advisory. No, these are just combined. Okay, that's not much help. Also, let's look out to the coastal areas here and take a look at this winter weather advisory. La Push, Nia Bay, Beaver, Clearwater, Clallam Bay, Forks, CQ. So this goes through Monday morning on this one. The winter weather advisory, winter storm watch goes through Monday morning. Total snow accumulations 3 to 9 inches. So as your places like Forks are probably going to get good snowfall amounts out of this. The closer you get to the water, the lesser the amounts, but it would be really, really awesome to see some snow out on the Washington coast beaches. That would be really fun to see. Well, usually when it's snowing at my house and when I am at home, I am filming it out my windows. But no, I just kind of take it in. I'm always watching it. But I mean, yeah, my wife likes making food and stuff like that, and I make coffee and things like that. But yeah, another thing, when it starts to snow, I'll try to set up some live streams and stuff. If it starts snowing nicely, and I can set up my weather station and let you guys just kind of look out the window and see that for somebody who might not be around. Yeah, it doesn't look like a huge high, and right now there's not a big signal for freezing rain in Portland just yet, but there is the potential, like what I just showed you on the European model. In fact, let me play that again because I got somebody asking about it. It's just one of the many possibilities. So as the upper level low is meandering and doing the funky chicken off our coastline there, this is the trouble time here as you go on in through Wednesday night into Thursday. That's east wind being pulled through. If you get a big surge of Pacific moisture, it kind of burrows into that air mass there, and Portland still has that lower level area of sub-freezing temperatures at the surface, then you could get some freezing rain. Or maybe it'll be freezing rain towards the coast. If some of that cold air gets out, west of the coastal range there, or some of the Willamette valleys, you get a bit further south, maybe some shallow colder air is trapped in there. So yeah, that's when the threat would come. But over the next few days, you're not looking at a freezing rain event yet for Portland. But as you go midweek, you need to be checking back daily to kind of continue to reinforce that. I'm trying to catch up on the chat here. Sorry, guys. I'm scrolling through. There's a bunch of messages came across. Yeah, Kuchera snowfall. There's that too. Jeff Nooney, thanks for the generosity. How does Kitsap look? So let's do this. In fact, I'm going to make that a little bit bigger, and we'll just go to the North American model on here. And we'll go to Pacific Northwest, and we're going to go to winter, and we're going to go to positive snow depth change in inches, and just take a look at sometimes the NAM has a really hard time with what's going on, and I don't always trust it, but I just kind of want to see what it says here. So you can kind of see this. you can see like between Tacoma and Olympia, it looks like you're getting up towards an inch by the time you go to Sunday afternoon, but I don't know how much I trust this. But the problem is you do have to consider it. But as we go on in through Sunday morning, I mean, it doesn't even show that much here through 60 hours for Southwest BC. As you get to the higher terrain, you do, but you know, kind of hit and miss stuff here, an inch or two around some of the Puget Sound. Better chances, you know, maybe along the coast. But this is only out to Monday morning here. We're going to still get additional rounds after that. I don't know if I trust this here just yet for the North American one. Let me look at the HRRR here. But it could always be warning us of something as well. So you always have to take it into account. You have to keep it in the back of your mind. So here we go on the HRRR. Better chances there for Olympia. Look at Tacoma. You're talking about, yeah, that's disruptive snow on I-5. SeaTac there. You're looking at 2 inches by the time you get towards Sunday morning. So yeah, that's a little bit problematic here. That could even get, you know, that's Des Moines, I-5. Look at that, 2.6. You know, Olympia is probably 3-4 inches out of that. Higher amounts kind of localized there just off to the east of Olympia, 6, 7, 8, 9 inches, coastal areas. I mean, this is Quileute here, pretty close to the coast. That's 5.1 inches. That's on the ground. This is not the 10-to-1 ratio. If we go to 10-to-1 ratio, boom, look at that. Positive snow depth change right there. So, and we'll scroll all the way out to 48 hours here. But yeah, this could be disruptive snowfall here, Seattle south. And you can see, you know, up towards Monroe, just north of Lake Washington, a couple inches. A couple inches of snowfall is a big deal. Don't let anybody tell you that it's not. And this is just through Sunday afternoon. So you can see there would be some disruptive snowfall up and down the I-5 corridor. You know, 4 or 5 inches for Chehalis here. We drove back last January here through that snowfall, and it's no joke trying to drive through that. It can be a mess. And then you look up towards Anacortes, Skagit, Whatcom, Bellingham, 2, 3, 4, 5 inches. This one kind of keeps the snow on the lighter side for Vancouver, BC. Man, the models have just been, like if you look at the European for Southwest BC, it's just totally reversed on that. And I do not like to go against what the European says. You do that at your own peril. But it also shows the pretty significant snowfall, Seattle south, Tacoma, Olympia, Chehalis, Kelso, and then eventually as we go on to the early parts of the next week, it's also bringing snow into the Willamette Valley, as I mentioned earlier. The coastal areas getting some pretty good amounts, 5.6 for Quileute. And again, a foot of snow, perhaps more if you go inland. So yeah, this is kind of wonky here. I don't know if I believe the HRRR or the North American model or the European on what's coming for Southwest BC, because big differences shown in the models there. Siskiyous would start to get some snow. Let's see what that would come in here. Yeah, there'd be off and on snow as we go through this weekend for the Siskiyous. Southern Oregon, Cascades. I mean, and if this moisture comes up a little bit more, places like Bend, Oregon would get hammered. Pendleton could get some big amounts out of this as well. Scroll 144 hours. There's going to be a lot of moisture moving around there. Some of the higher terrain and some of the areas across eastern Oregon really setting up for some heavy snow. And the basin here has kind of backed off on recent model runs on how far north some of that moisture is going to get. But we'll revisit that as we get closer. That's still a few days away. Shannon O'Phelan, thank you for the upgrade, the basic channel support. Thank you for becoming a member. Love the channel. Thank you. So let me scroll back and see what's going on here. Oh, Chad Ohms, thank you for your generosity. Yeah, I'm just kind of trying to skip over every other line or something, just showing here what's going on. Let's see. Yeah, we did the GFS 18Z. It was pretty fun looking here for a lot of the Pacific Northwest. And if you guys are just joining, I went over that we're likely to remain in a cool pattern as we go towards the mid portion of February as well, with additional potential snow as we get a little bit towards the beginning, middle part of the month. The Fraser Valley will be going as you go through. Okay, let's see. Yeah, when does that turn on? Let me look at the European, the latest on that as well. Surface wind, 100 meters. So we're looking at the Fraser River Valley. It's right here, and we're going to go to northwest. It is a terrain feature that connects the interior of British Columbia to the coastal areas out here, and Vancouver, BC, Bellingham is where it pours out. So we got south winds. You can see the south winds here as we go through tomorrow. Arctic air starts to push down out of the north as we go through the day Sunday. And it starts to get going here Sunday night. You can clearly see the Fraser River outflow going by Sunday night. You got to pronounce that with an S. It's Fraser River Valley. It's not Fraser. Sometimes I get tongue twisted and I'll say Fraser, but it's Fraser. And Seattle, let's look. There we go. Vancouver. Boom. That's probably the best view of it right there. Okay, so things start to get a bit squirrely there as you go through Sunday night, but there it is, the northeast wind pushing down through the Fraser River Valley. And as we go through, so basically Sunday night, we're now into Wednesday morning. It's going to be flowing all the way on in towards Thursday morning at least, and probably beyond that for a couple more days, at least. So yeah, lots of cold air pumping out through the Fraser River Valley. The Euro is also significantly colder for Southwest BC than the Canadian. Interesting. Not sure why. It's usually the Canadian models. That's another thing I should be checking as well. Thanks for the heads up. High resolution Canadian model. I just want to look at winter here and see what it says really quick. We do not have that, but we'll look at Kuchera. Centimeters. 4 centimeters equals an inch. What do we have here? This is 0Z data. This is just now running. Isn't it hot off the presses? We're only going to get out to about 21Z, but you see a little bit of snow accumulating there. Look at the convergence zone right there. Boom. What is that? How much is that? 2.6 is that saying for there? Down here in the convergence zone? That's kind of interesting. When does that hit? That's right after midnight tonight. Anybody going to stay up and go check out the convergence zone as we go through tonight? And then as we go through the day tomorrow, look at, you can see some snow showers in around Seattle, Kitsap Peninsula, a couple inches there. There's Olympia, some snowfall. Mountains getting some snow. There's 2.9 inches of snow there, Kitsap Peninsula by Saturday on the high resolution Canadian model anyway. Let's look at 18Z, and we got to go out a little bit further and compare what we got here. So yeah, it shows that convergence zone. It's pretty bullish on that convergence zone there. Right over Everett. Kitsap Peninsula looks, it wants to bring 6 inches of snowfall there. And I got to remember that this is the Kuchera ratio. This is not snow depth in inches, so probably overdoing this a little bit. And we go out 48 hours. And this is in centimeters as well, not inches. I said inches. This is centimeters. So yeah, that only goes out to, that's Sunday morning. That's not going out that far anyway, but maybe I'll just leave that one on there. We'll go to the little bit lower resolution model as well, and we'll scroll through this and kind of plod through this one. It shows a little band there across Des Moines, Vashon. Let's scroll all the way in towards Sunday morning where the last one ended. And you can see, it's going to be close for some areas here. I-5 corridor down there south of Olympia. We scroll out a little bit further. It's showing Southwest BC, but it's hard to tell what the terrain resolution is not as good. And then again, this only goes out 84 hours as well. But yeah, it does look somewhat similar though, and it shows some of that rain shadowing going on here at times as well. But also you notice this model is not quite as high resolution as that one. That's probably why it's not showing that convergence zone there also. Somebody, what happened here? Kevin E. gifted 10 Pacific Northwest Watch memberships. I noticed that I have 300 members now, so that probably puts me over 310. That's great. That's why the channel is able to exist. Thank you very much. Got a lot of people on there. Why does Snohomish Skagit should have an advisory? Oh yeah, nothing yet for western part of the camp. Yeah, the National Weather Service, they do like to take their time. They do like to wait. And I don't know if operationally, is that just not significant enough for them to advise about? Because, yeah, that's going to surprise some people. And that's how it is. It's like you're underneath one of these snow bands and it's dropping an inch of snow and it's covering the road in front of your house. It's a big deal. But then your neighbor 6 miles away is getting like just, it's just snowing, but it's not sticking or anything because maybe it's not quite as heavy and you're out of the main area of the convergence. So, yeah, that's the battle that's going to be going on here. Not everybody is going to see great accumulating snowfall out of this setup. This is not one of the huge blasts from the past like 2019. Look at this polar lobe there versus, I'm going to put this GFS over there and I'm going to compare and contrast just so you guys know what we're dealing with here. This is not, like I said, imperfect setup 5220, 5098. The polar lobe was stronger back in 2019. And you want to see some stuff? Let's go way back. Let's go back to November 2010. Anybody remember this? Snow before Thanksgiving, anyone? I'm trying to remember the exact day it swung through here. Oh, that's these ads are killing me. I always pay for this site, and I think we swapped out that credit card. That's why it's not doing that. I should just put it on my other screen and pay for it right now. But look at this. That's the polar low placement that you want to see. That's a 510 there at 500 millibars. That's the placement. You really want it for the good stuff. Officially, they got 2.5 inches at SeaTac, but I was to the west, closer to the Puget Sound. I had 5-6 inches of snow. It was blowing around and drifting and stuff. It was a fairly high-end snow event there back in 2010. But yeah, this is not the widespread snowmageddon snowpocalypse yet. There is still the chance of that, though. There's a chance that this will trend upward as we go through next week. As I saw, or if you didn't see, the 0Z. This is 0Z. Okay. I didn't realize it. Okay, 0Z is now running. Okay, so we're going to check that here in a minute. But I want to show you the 18Z really quick one more time. Anybody who's just joining here in the chat, we'll go over it again. Upper level low, we've been talking about that for a while. But what's going on as we go through next week is this potential as we start to go through Wednesday. You see the snow coming back up over the area with the cold air in place. That could bring some snow. Next system rolls up. There's another band of snow moving across the Pacific Northwest. Moderate snow moving up towards Seattle. So we have these potentials coming up. You don't necessarily have to have a great polar lobe. You can have one that's imperfect and come back down around and spill some cold air out into the area. Then if additional systems take the correct track or come from the southwest and stay south of you on the north side of that, can get some very significant snowfall. And then the GFS wants to even bring more through the extended there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the 0Z now, and we're going to not look at that yet because I like the suspense. We're going to take a look and compare the 0Z versus the 18Z GFS. Okay. Yeah, they're probably biding their time, Garrett. That's the National Weather Service for sure. They're just like, well, look at 2008 here also. Yeah, there's still some pretty good question on who's going to get how much, but there is some significant snowfall potential as we go through this weekend and on into early next week and then midweek as well. So, okay, so we have pretty good agreement here. Let's take a look. So the surface low, that's a 10-12. What? Okay, yeah, so this is actually a little bit stronger with the surface low here as we go through Sunday morning. Let me back this up. That's the convergence zone as we go through tomorrow morning. Not much change that I see there. Southwest BC, Saturday night, Sunday, Southwest BC under the gun. But you also see some of this down across Tacoma, Olympia, I-5 corridor that we saw was kind of favored for some of that snow. Hey, from the Washington Coast, Quilcene, thank you for your generosity. Terry's half-fast folk music. Is that a... Okay. He threw $5 in the hat, so that's Terry right there. Go check out his channel. He's getting some views on his channel there. Thank you, Terry. Okay, so back to where we were. Here we go. Okay, so we're looking at Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, Saturday night. Not much differences that I see yet. Sunday morning right here. A little bit more snow for southwest Washington under this scenario. A little bit stronger of a surface low right there. You can see the 10-12 a little bit more widespread. And I mean, there's some big snow coming for the Washington coast. Highway 101, some areas are really going to get hit. I'm telling you what, that surface low is very close. Multiple rounds of moisture swinging back in. I might have to go out there for Sunday. That might be kind of fun. And then we go through Sunday. I mean, look at this. There's more widespread precipitation here. That is a bit of a stronger low. It looks like it is a little bit closer too. The pressure drop is a little bit greater here across some of the Puget Sound. Notice that right there. The 10-12 line does make its way back in there a bit more. So that could keep precipitation, more organized precipitation going. Kind of a wet snow accumulation for a lot of areas. Very close to freezing, especially during the daytime hours. Now we scroll on in through Sunday night. And again, better snowfall up north, Skagit, Whatcom, Bellingham, maybe back up in the southwest BC, but a little bit different here as well, not quite as heavy. And we'll check it out as we go to Monday morning. A little bit less across some of the central sound by the time you get towards Monday late morning. Low spinning around, still some showers moving around. Arctic boundary still hung up here across Pacific Northwest. What is it going to show after that? So this is what the suspense is all about. Let's go. It still shows this next system moving into California. But then what the GFS had was this low picking up some moisture and bringing it northbound still. And you can still see, again, these areas of snowfall. It's going to be cold enough for snow by the time we get to Monday and Tuesday. So again, just 1/10 of an inch of rain can bring disruptive snow to Seattle or Portland or up and down the I-5 corridor again. Okay, let's see here. Well, Victoria is more likely to get some of that outflow from the Fraser River and some of the strait effect snow. When the cold wind comes down to the northeast, it can pick up moisture going across the strait and it can deposit it into the north slopes of the Olympics or pushed into the portions of Vancouver Island. Yeah, it is a very confusing forecast. I mean, this upper level low has just got surprise snow and disappointment for some written all over it. So be prepared for both snow and the potential for some winter conditions and the possibility of being disappointed because some areas are going to get skunked. Olympia has been on the favorable side of things. Olympia could get a couple, 2-3 inches in the first couple days and additional snowfall after that as we go through the early portion of next week. Snowing in Nanaimo right now. So what elevation is that at? That's Vlad. What elevation are you at? Yeah, right now we're at -8. UTC is -8. So if you look at this 18Z, I just subtract 8 from that, and then I know it's 10 a.m. on Tuesday morning. And then if I go to right there, you take 8 from that, you're at 13, which you have to know military time. At that point, 13 is what? It's 1 plus 12, so 13 is 1 o'clock. Who's Matt? What happened? There's Washington weather, skunked, Federal Way, Washington. It's never snowed there before. Just kidding. Vancouver Island snowing. Yeah, there's some cold air marching its way down. If you guys are just joining, look at all this cold air spilling off. It's already moving down into Vancouver Island as we speak. Look at these cold little cloud tops. I think that I have lightning. No, I don't have it on there. Hold on. I keep waiting to see if maybe a lightning strike will kick off, though. I don't know if it will, but I don't see anything yet. And how about Hawaii? Huh? They got really hammered with the frontal system there the last few days. And you can see the lightning off in this intertropical convergence zone down here as well. But if we go back to the Pacific Northwest, there it is. There's that cold air aloft. So again, the magic hour is going to be when you're underneath some of these showers as they're moving through. Yeah, once you're getting east of 405 and I-5 out there, you've got 2+ inch potential coming up here as we go through the next few days. Thunder snow is a chance as well. I thought that there was some areas near Nanaimo that were higher than 100 feet. That's a pretty low snow level if that's happening there. Nanaimo is not that far up Vancouver Island. But I guess the whole area is arriving. You can actually see it. It's right there. In fact, let me do this. And we will take a look at, let's do 5,000 feet. We'll do upper air temperature. Boom, bada bing. Back that up. Yeah, I mean, it's already what this is. There's where we are right now. It's about 8 p.m. And yeah, so that makes sense. Yeah, I believe that because you got -6 right here. You got -7 at 5,000 feet. These snow showers could be mixing in here for the next few hours. In fact, let me zoom in a little bit here. So yeah, by the time we're at midnight tonight, right there, look at this across southwest BC. Plenty cold for snow to get down, and then eventually trying to work its way into some of the Puget Sound here as we go into the very early morning hours. But initially, portions of the Central Sound are going to be rain shadow, and there's going to be convergent zone activity here as well, just north of Seattle. Yeah, okay, so 1 to 600 feet, depending on where in the city. Raining at 452 in Nanaimo right now. Okay. Kurt Kaplan, thank you for the generosity. Thank you very much. Google says 10 inches in 24. So yeah, there was a period. So, okay, I'm going to have to do this. If we're going to keep doing this blast from the past stuff, I'm going to have to do this. Let me pull this over here, and I'm going to put my credit card in here as we are speaking because I cannot stand ads. Make a subscription. Let's do that. Add subscription. What do we want to do here? Oh, I just need ad free. So I guess I will just pay with PayPal, huh? Bear with me. I am paying for my subscription that I, for some reason, did not update. Check in. Yes, that is good. But yeah, snow showers moving in overnight tonight. Look at that cold air aloft racing in here. This is where we are right about now. Look at it just coming onto Vancouver Island, Northwest Washington coast, quickly cooling off aloft. So you're going to feel the difference in temperature from today versus tomorrow for sure. Water break here. I'll let this load. I'll be right back. Oh, back up. Okay, it looks like I am set here, I think. Okay, I think we're good to go now. Zoom back out, zoom back in. And just for the heck of it, since we're here and we're doing a live stream, we're having fun with this, let's go and see if we have... You guys heard about the granddaddy of all storms? January 1950? What is going on here? That's why I'm not on free zoom. Okay. Zoom out. Sorry about that, guys. So we're looking at January 1950. Well, probably the greatest snowstorm in my mother's lifetime. She was actually 5 years old, and she remembers this storm. Multiple storms. I think it was actually the 13th was the best. I'm going to go day at a time here. Takes a minute to load, but we are going to take a look at this. Jose, thank you for your generosity. Where's the best chance to go play in the snowland tomorrow? Well, you might want to target the convergence zone north of Seattle initially. We'll take another look at that again here in a moment, though. But yeah, the convergence zone might be a good bet tomorrow. But yeah, you can see kind of this polar vortex just kind of hanging around the Pacific Northwest here as we go through the 10th. I mean, look at these polar lobes just swinging through the area like, my goodness. This is just wild. I mean, look at this polar lobe. Give me a break. My goodness. Oh my gosh. Look at that placement. That's why I think that was Friday the 13th, 1950 as well. I mean, plus subscription. Ugh, I'm going to have to change my subscription again because I did that wrong. Jason, thank you for the generosity. Starting to get windy and rainy on Whidbey Island. Thanks for the... Yeah, it's like $60 for the year to get this thing with no ads. I always love a good storm. You make cold, dreary weather exciting. And thank you, Johnny Red. And also, Rebo. You are awesome. Thank you. No, you are awesome. Yeah, the 1800s, man. They have some serious... There's some serious legendary snowstorms back in the 1800s. I wish I could go back to the 1800s. You see, the farthest it goes back is 1950. But look at this polar low place. This is just amazing. And I don't know why it's doing that to us here. There we go. Oh, let's move it over a little bit more. There we go. Oh, could you imagine that? That would just be glorious. If you didn't know, most of the January all-time low record temperatures for Seattle and a lot of the Pacific Northwest were set back in this month of January 1950. Got down to 0 at Seattle, which is very close to the Puget Sound, so very difficult to do. But yeah, there's a blast of the past back from 1950. There's also a really good one in November of 1955, if I remember correctly. See how this one did. I think this one may be a little bit on the dry side for Seattle. But yeah, look at that potent polar lobe right there across the North Cascades. Woo! Yeah, I wouldn't want anybody to offer, but I'd probably cut off my little pinky toe to see something like what happened in 1950, just for the sheer wildness of what would happen. It's a good thing nobody can control that because I'd be tempted. Oh yeah, February. This is probably the greatest Arctic outbreak of my life. Was probably the 1989 February. I mean, just a true hammer blow from the north. Just an absolutely ridiculous setup here. And again, you can kind of see how this polar lobe compares to ours. This is a 510 or 510 at 500 millibars versus what we're dealing with now, which is not quite as strong. It's like 519, and it's a little bit further out over the water. Jeremy D, I'll never forget the Arctic Express of 1989. Yep, that's what we're showing right now. Good. Great minds think alike. This is what was going on. And also there's something very interesting that I want to show you with this one as well. Look at the Arctic high on this. Man, it's ridiculous. Look at the troughing as a result of this Arctic air just ripping down off the continent and back into the Pacific Northwest. Just a perfect setup for heavy snow. Potent cold air just dropping down into the area. We'll scroll ahead a little bit more here. Look at that high across northern British Columbia. Look at this 10.7. What is that? That's just off the charts. This is just beyond ridiculous. And you can see how it just powered down across the region. And of course, after this Arctic outbreak happened, we didn't get snow for like 2 weeks in February for Seattle. Let's see, January 1937, Salem, Oregon had 27 inches in 18 hours. That I would pay to see also. That is awesome. Brian of Oregon, thanks for the generosity. Did I miss another super chat back here? Johnny Red, Jason, Rebo, Jose. Okay, I think I got them all there. Nope, Chad Ohms. I did not see yours. Thank you, Chad. During active snow, for example, Sunday during the day, will you be doing a live broadcast? Yeah, there's a good chance of that. I may actually be out going somewhere to try to find snow on Sunday. The best radar to monitor, if you can spend a little bit of money, is to get radar scope or to get radar omega to watch this come in. You can also put it on your desktop. So if I do radar scope, this is that app, and it does really well on the smartphones as well. So you click on things like that for your Doppler radar. You can check BC, there's the Camino Island Doppler, there's Langley, there's Portland, Pendleton, Spokane. And yeah, then you can hit play and you can just watch these showers move around. You can zoom in nice and close, and it'll give you an update on where your location is as well. So yeah, radar scope or radar omega, definitely the ones to do. I'll click on radar omega here as well. My wife's always like, how many subscriptions do you need? And it's like, well, these aren't even the worst ones. The Weather Bell one is like $70 a month for me to run Weather Bell commercially, like I do on my site. I have to pay like $70 or $60 a month, something like that. I forget exactly what it is. See if I can get this off of here, but you can go ahead and change all this stuff up on here as well. This is radar omega. And if you saw that, I mean, some of the apps are really nice. Look at, if I zoom in here, look at Lake Stevens. You can go down to individual street level there. You can zoom back out. You can zoom back in. You can see, you know, where Kenmore was. There's Kenmore right there. And so then I can just watch this, and you can see there's some moderate rain. I would not be completely shocked to see somebody start getting some snowflakes just on a higher hilltop here under this convergence zone. I mean, look at that. That was some pretty heavy rain. Granite Falls, anybody in Granite Falls? Because that's, I wouldn't be completely surprised to see a little bit of snow mixing in with that. And yeah, here goes the colder air is now starting to move in. So that's the westerly surge. Did you see that, you guys? This here, the westerly surge. I'm not sure how windy it is. It would be right now, but it looks like that is the westerly surge coming across there. And I don't know what's going on. I'm going to check it out here on radar scope, because it looks like that was having a little, oh, it's still doing that. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that was maybe a little bit of snow mix in. And okay. But I want to go back to the GFS here before I forget. I want to go back and check this out. Where were we here? Okay, so didn't I have the GFS already set up here? Oh, it may have been on the other one. Let me check. There it is. Okay, so we were watching this actively run. I'm going to update this again. So we should have quite a bit more information on the 0Z. Okay, so I went over step by step until about hour 93. So we're going to go, and you can see again the atmospheric river, pretty good agreement between model run to model run there on that bouncing around. We're now into Tuesday morning. Some of that snow still spinning around the upper level low. And then, yeah, stuff like this is where we're bound to get some surprises. You're going through Wednesday morning, it starts to move back up across western Oregon and southwest Washington, maybe up towards Seattle, maybe another little dusting of snow with that, and then maybe some additional rounds there. Now, what we were watching, so previously it was showing this, and it still has kind of that feature right there. We're only at 135. So deeper low on the zeros, on the 12Z, 18Z versus what's going on now, but we'll see what this is going to bring here in a moment. .52 mile per hour gust at Whidbey Naval Air Station not long ago. Yeah, 1969, 68, 69, extremely snowy period for Pacific Northwest. Sideways rain, a strong wind in West Camino Island. Did I miss any other? Let's pay for the Weather Bell subscription. Yeah, that would be nice if I could get that for free. But the thing that sucks about that too is that if you pay all at once, it's not much cheaper, but it's noticeably cheaper. So I pay it all at once. It's like, I don't know, it's like $700 or something ridiculous, $660. It's kind of ridiculous, but, and the thing is that I could probably do it with other models, but I'm just used to Weather Bell at this point. I don't know. But yeah, let's see what this brings. Let's do this. Let's go to the North American. Actually, let's go to the HERCs. I want to see what the HERC says. I haven't checked on this yet. Let's go to... Is it still showing that? Yeah, it still shows that for tomorrow, Southwest BC. That's lightning potential with that. I mean, it's not like one of the highlights of this storm, but there is the potential for some lightning. Anytime you see some of these low cape setups here with some cold air aloft, and the European even shows any of these dots at all, you know you got that lightning potential. And then the upper level lows off the coast there. Probably not anything after that. But Saturday, Sunday, it's been continually showing that potential for a little bit of thunder, snow maybe mixing in there. Definitely not as cold as 1950. Yeah, I was actually, for a while, I was running both Weather Bell and Pivotal Weather. But the problem is if you want to use it commercially, you got to pay for Pivotal Weather as well. I don't know what it is right now, but... Okay, so let's go back to the GFS, see if this is updating at all. Well, now we've got another flop going on here with the GFS. So it's taking away this system here. Still brings some snow to southern Oregon with that, but look at this. Now it's approaching from the northwest again. It's wild how the models, as we go towards the mid and end portion of next week, have been flipping and flopping between this southwest system moving up versus this northwest system. Like the artificial intelligence, the European, and the GFS are all doing it. Mark Stewart is in the house. Getchell area temperature dropped 6 degrees in 25 minutes. Nice. Uh-oh. We toured that. Help pay for your model. Can I get a shout out for my channel? We toured that. Yeah, let's take a look. Where is your channel? Channel. Oh. How do I do this here? Okay. Go to channel. Here we go. We toured that. He just put $10 in the hat, so we're going to look at his channel. Bitterroot, Skagit Highland Games, Skagit Valley Highland Games, Deception Pass State Park. A quick look. That's cool. Oh, a lot of shorts there also. Lewis and Clark Bridge. It's him at 54 videos. So yeah, there's your shout out to We Toured That here. I'll subscribe. Thank you for your generosity. Vancouver, BC, winds are picking up. "26 inches in South Everett." My goodness. Squawk Mountain, 96, 97, over 3 feet of snow that also froze to ice 3-4 inches in spots. Wow. Downtown Vancouver is now getting windy, says Ryan. Highland Games, proper nerd. That's the, yeah, we got a big nerd community here with Pacific Northwest as far as weather watching. So yeah, there's, well, I should go over that again here. Look at the European. Let's go back out. We're going to zoom out to Pacific Northwest. And as I scroll through here, this is snow depth in inches. So as we go out towards 144 hours, places we're watching is like Olympia, maybe just to the east near Tacoma. Once you see these blue lines, that's 2, 3, 4 inches. Some of the foothill areas, Covington, Enumclaw, as you get right across I-5, across some of Snohomish, Skagit, Whatcom County, Southwest BC, the European puts under the gun as well. I-5 corridor, Olympia, down through Chehalis, Kelso, Portland, and then eventually maybe on in through the mid-portion of next week, some of the Willamette Valley is getting targeted by the European as well. Coastal areas, Highway 101, Highway 12 back and forth. Places like Forks are probably going to get big amounts of snowfall also, and you can see this is snow depth in inches here, and there's big amounts up across the Cascades. Pretty typical here for late January. Yeah, that'll get your channel a little bit of action there. Yeah, Victoria is kind of left out in this one a bit. But I wouldn't get discouraged by that yet. There's so many different, there's things that will be changing as we get closer to this event. And I wanted to do this. Let's go to the high resolution rapid refresh. Are we already on Pacific Northwest? No, there we go. That's 24 out. Let's just do Kachura ratio. We'll do this. Chris Bird, I'm betting that the model snow depth is a little conservative in South Hill. Yeah, it could definitely be. And the thing that goes on there is snow depth. It's probably taking into account like the snow's actual depth. So there's going to be some compression. There's a little bit of melting, you know, stuff like that. So it's on the conservative side. Yes, definitely. Yeah, thanks for the generosity. Awesome super chat there. So, okay, so here we go. This is through this morning, and kind of tomorrow morning. You see some of these snow showers moving into the Washington coast just after midnight there? Okay. Little southwest Washington snow. You might see some snow mixing in by morning, or maybe even accumulating near Olympia, southwest Washington, some of the higher terrain there. Even the I-5 corridor, it's showing a little bit of that activity. Keith, Capillaro, Whatcom County is going to get windy with the Fraser. Yes, it is going to get windy, definitely out of the northeast. And probably multiple chances of some sticking snowfall at times. But yeah, look at some of Pierce County, Thurston County. Oh, there we go. A little tiny band of snow maybe moves by. SeaTac there. There's Whatcom County gets going a bit here. This is Saturday afternoon. So you can kind of see this. This is getting close to Victoria out here. Look at some of the snowfall here as this cold air aloft is very close to the coastline at this point. That would be including Highway 101, Vancouver Island, higher terrain getting blasted. And so this is just through tomorrow afternoon. So there could be some slick roads there out and about. Jason is Whidbey is right on the water on the west side of Whidbey Mountain. Should see the cold inflow as the atmosphere changes. Yeah, so that was kind of the leading edge of some of this colder air. That westerlies that just went through, that's exactly what we just saw. So here. This is kind of that westerly surge, and that's why Whidbey Island got so windy. And you see it's pushing off into the foothills. But you also notice this is hanging back. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some of this dropping some wet snow overnight tonight. I don't know that there'll be much accumulation at all, though, yet. Not quite. And look at this thing right here. There's some pretty chilly air moving in. Does that one want to... What does that little bad boy want to do? Is that going to try to... Almost acting like a thunderstorm there a little bit. See if we can catch it on the Langley. Not so much. Yeah, no, the Camino's probably going to have the best look at that. Alder Grove is kind of picks it up there as well. This looks like a little wannabe thunderstorm there. Well, look at this. Iona Eskins. Thank you for the generosity, Iona. Keith, Jason, Iona. Yeah, you're probably going to start seeing snowflakes by tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon at some point, especially for the higher terrain. The coastal range of Oregon is under that winter weather advisory. And here. I mean, here you go. Like, fairly early tomorrow morning, you're getting some snow, southwest Washington, some of the coastal range there. And then through the day, I mean, look at that. You're getting a few inches. Coastal range, Oregon. Not bad. Okay, back to the GFS battle here. GFS versus GFS. Serious business. Okay, so here we go. We're scrolling on in through Tuesday. Now we start to get the differences here. The 18Z wants to bring this much more substantial low. It brings it further north, which makes sense. But it takes away snow from Portland, Seattle, Western Washington on that one. However, that one coming from the northwest, the models have been doing this. It's showing that system coming in. Actually, I think the 18Z did have some of that, but this one is stronger. This is, you know, you drop a few inches of snow into some cold air here across Western Washington, southwest BC, portions of Oregon as well. So it could start to turn things on shore a little bit also, but let me take a look at right there. We're going to take a look at 21Z on Saturday. Let's go. Boom. And we're just going to close this out. We're just going to take a look at surface moisture and dew point temperature at 189. 36, 33. So it would start as snow, but would that change over? It's so far out there that I'm not even going to worry about that too much. But yeah, that could possibly start as snow as that system moves down through the extended. So yeah, their models have been flipping and flopping back and forth. What's going to come as we go on in towards next week? Can we get a little bit close? I don't know why that's not showing it here. Let me do this. Oh, that's snow depth, snow change. Let's do that. There we go. So we can see some values on this one. And again, I mean, some of the models aren't calling for that much for southwest BC, but like the European is bullish on bringing BC, some big totals there. And once you start to see these blues show up, that's 2+ inches. You start to see the purples and you're looking at 6+. And again, the 18Z European rolling here. And yeah, so There's disruptive snowfall potential still going on, but again, somebody's going to get on the lower side of things here. Just kind of keeping that out there, and there's bust potential with this system as well. But right now, we're starting to lock in the potential for some decent snowfall amounts across some of the area. Yeah, that was a warmer GFS run there. I'm not even really too worried about it right now. I expect it to be flipping and flopping. Yeah, they'll be, I mean, it's not like the thunder snow scenario is not the highlight of this event, but it could happen on Saturday or Sunday afternoon, at least according to the European and the North American model. Well, Cle Elum, I think this is Ellensburg right there. There's Snoqualmie or Stevens. I would believe that Cle Elum would be getting snowfall out of this, especially as you go through it early next week. But you see, there's kind of that sharp cutoff there once you get into the lower terrain there out across the Columbia Basin. Yeah, it's going to be kind of a nowcast situation. This is here. Let me do this. I'm going to close that one out, and we're going to go to here. Because you can imagine all this cold air aloft here, and when you're dealing with convergence zone activity, trying to pinpoint where this is going to show up and just exactly how strong these showers are going to be or where lightning strike may occur, it's like you're kind of just guessing. You're just throwing a dart up there at the board and trying to guess. But you can kind of look at the high resolution models and try to pick out where there's favored locations and whatnot. But yeah. Cold air aloft is arriving to the Washington Coast, Vancouver Island as we speak right now, though. Yeah, it'll be a nowcast issue for sure. I mean, because especially when the colder air starts leaking down and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, look at this batch of moisture is moving up towards Seattle on Tuesday morning, and that wasn't really forecast that well. And all of a sudden you've got 2 inches of snow at SeaTac and a whole bunch of flights are canceled and everybody's like, oh, we didn't see that coming. It's like, well, no, the models were kind of hinting at it, but they'll take it away one run, they'll bring it back the next. And so you're kind of playing cat and mouse a lot of these scenarios. And by the way, look at the subtropical tap into California. Atmospheric River, Pineapple Express, anyone? Boom, this is going to be feeding into California for a few days. I heard reports of some areas getting over 2 feet of rainfall in the next several days for California. Cold air aloft, man. Look at that cold air spilling off the continent. Just glorious looking. Yeah, there's definitely chances for it overperforming. Just like I just mentioned. Yeah, there's absolutely that chance. It just, as far as the snow lover is concerned, it makes me nervous that the upper level low sits here and it's not that strong. And then it retrogrades a bit, which is going to pull some of the moisture away. But still, there's going to be enough around to cause some problems once the colder air leaks out. But it's weak and it's probably going to be kind of scattered and isolated at times. So it's like, man, I don't want to I don't want to say, hey, this is not going to be a big deal and most people are going to see less than an inch or something like that, because that's not what the models are showing for some areas like Tacoma, Olympia, Spanaway, Puyallup, some of the foothill areas, Vancouver, BC, some of the coastal range and I-5 corridor between Olympia and Kelso are showing some pretty decent amounts as we go towards Monday. So you have to pay attention to that. But at the same time, I can picture scenarios where this low is just a little bit too far north and things are marginal at the surface and you don't get much of the frozen precipitation down towards the lower elevations. There is that possibility here as well. But I think that there's probably going to be some areas that get skunked, some areas that do get some nice snowfall out of this overall. Retrograde, I mean, when the upper level low or the surface low will come set up right here, and then it'll start to peel away from the coastline. So it's moving out of the northwest, and it'll slow down and stop, and then peel away from the coast a bit. So as it gets a bit further away, it doesn't allow as much moisture to get back up into the region. Hope that makes sense. $841. Maybe I'll try to stick around for the European model run here. We might as well. I'm going to go take a break here for a second. I'll be right back. So if anybody comes in the chat, make sure to go ahead and let everybody know. I'll be right back here in a couple minutes. Okay, I am back here. What did I miss? Any new radar loops come through? Let's see. What was the peak people in the chat so far? 862 right now, not quite as much as last night. Yeah, it's a bit breezy outside as well. In fact, let me check something here. I'm going to check my weather station. Okay, I'm checking my weather station if I can. It's not letting me for a second. Okay, there it goes. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty fun to watch when the wind's blowing. You can see it gusting 27 right now. Sustained at 19 or so. And so far, the peak gust at my house has been 32, according to the Tempest. I think the Davis I saw upstairs at 33, so pretty close. Yeah, it's a bit blustery out there, though. I went upstairs, and I could hear it blowing. Jonas Miller is back. Snow is an unrealized idea. Well, so far it is, but it's not expected just yet. Jonas Miller. Who is Jonas Miller? Who really is that? We still don't know. But I have a feeling I know him from somewhere. Gusting at 31 where you live. Yeah, 2019 was a better placed polar lobe is the only thing. Better cold air got into the region than will probably happen this time. Kind of went over that a bit earlier. Look at 30 miles per hour there gusting right now. But I mean, 3 inches in Seattle is a big deal. 1 inch in Seattle is a big deal. I mean, any kind of snow that sticks in the lower elevations, especially if you're flying out, that's a problem. Look, we got heavy rain going on right now. What is going on? Let me check the radar scope here. Okay, I wonder why it says that. Let's see. Is something not showing up that went through? I guess maybe that shower went through there really quick. I live right in this area there. So, yeah, look at that convergence zone still just kind of hovering around. If I click off that, you'll be able to see cities. There's Everett. Granite Falls. Sultan. You see it hanging around Haynesville. Hansville. Port Ludlow, south portion of Whidbey Island. (12-mile-per-hour) gust in Renton. Yeah, it's not as dynamic as 2019, but it still could produce some nice snowfall. You saw what 2019 did. It's weaker, but it's not that much weaker. It's just not quite as well placed either. Anybody let me know if you see a lightning strike with this cell right there. Check out the Langley Doppler radar on the Washington coast. Garden variety. Okay. So the European should be running here pretty soon. Not yet, though. We're at 8:49 p.m. still. This is an interesting graphic the Seattle National Weather Service put up also. So by Monday evening, it has Seattle Metro at 50-50 chance of 3 inches. Look at Port Angeles at 95. Olympia. And I would argue that Olympia is probably closer to 80%. North Bend. Look at Forks. This is on the Washington coast. 100% chance. They could just keep it real and leave it at 99. Everett, 35%. Bremerton, 65%. Bellingham at 99%. So I'd probably lower some of these odds, but I'd up Olympia a bit there as well. So probably put Everett at 40 or 50%. Spokane passes. Yeah, if you're going across the mountains, you got to be ready for this. I hope nobody's caught off guard by what's going on across some of the higher terrain. You got your windows open down there? Well, there's going to be some rain shadowing going on with this, but That's what's going to happen off the Olympic Mountain. There's going to be some rain shadowing going on. That's the reason for that, because a lot of this flow is going to be westerly with that surface low right off the coastline there. Let's do this. Let's look at the North American Model 12Z. We're going to take a look, or 12 km. We're going to take a look at the upper level heights, 500 millibars, and we're going to take a look and go all the way back towards last night's run. So again, 500 millibars. Let's take a look at the polar lobe on this bad boy here. It was better placed, stronger versus last night, 522 versus 519, but better placed yesterday. But this has kind of been going, this is what the North American model kind of does, and it's going back in line with what the global models are saying. You can kind of see how it showed that this morning there as well. So a little bit stronger, a little bit further off to the west. But it is stronger than was stronger than the 18Z run. Not too bad. That 525 line hanging out right across western Washington. So the lower these heights, of course, the colder the column of the atmosphere is, and the more likely when precipitation is occurring here that you will bring that snow level down towards the surface. It's really pretty much a strong guarantee that when you're at 522 or lower, you're going to be getting snowfall down to the surface. At 525, you can be doing it as well. But once you get out towards 531 or 534, the odds are much less. However, there's another way to bring snowfall down to the surface, so you don't need the polar lobe to be that strong. You can have one of these polar lobes that introduces cold air into the area, and then you get a low pressure system with the correct track spreading moisture back up into that colder air, and you can bring measurable disruptive snowfall with, you don't have to have a super high-end polar lobe that came down with it. Hope that makes sense. I love watching the wind kind of bounce around there. Lightning we had 15 days ago. So yeah, we'll wait for the 0Z European to load up here. It's still on the 18Z run right now. Alicia Ellis, 2008. Kletskani, an all-time record of 35.5 inches, about 2 times that in total snowfall over the event, with about inch of midday melt-off. Was that event a bigger type of this one? So 2008, yeah, let's look at 2008, because there was a lot going on in 2008. There was some pretty good individual snowfalls, but we were just getting so many of them. That's what made it so amazing. So let's go to 2008, and we're going to go to December. I remember December 18th being a really special snowstorm there for SeaTac especially, and we're getting some east winds, drifting snow. So we got to go out to December. We're going to go out to like December 16th and start from there. We're looking at 2008. If you guys have been around since 2008, you know what a dynamic December this was. It was the snowiest month since my birth date. So there goes this polar lobe on the 17th. And again, you can see how this placement's a little bit better. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit more. So with that 514, 515 right there across. So that's a pretty well-placed polar lobe, but you can see a little bit stronger than what's going on right now. So that was the initial one that came through on the 18th. Now let's zoom out a little bit here. We're going to scroll off through. We're now into the 19th. See if we got any more direct hits there. I think this next storm that came in, there was cold air in place at this point, and I think we even briefly warmed up, and it turned to like freezing rain for some of Seattle as this one swung through. But again, this brought another round of some heavy snowfall across the region, if I'm not mistaken. And this set up, there was a lot of snow on the ground around the Pacific Northwest as we rolled into that Christmas. It was definitely a white Christmas for much of the area. And we scroll out again, and you can see, again, the next lobe came down. that's a pretty robust one as well, as we went through a Christmas period there. So there's about very early Christmas morning, Christmas Eve night, as that one swung through. So we got multiple rounds of this that were swinging through the area on 2008. That's what made that winter so special, multiple snowstorms. And of course, yes, December 18th, 1990. I remember that one well also. And people say that that was a surprise storm, but I remember specifically waiting for that the day before and the day of. It was not like all of a sudden, hey, it's snowing. I hear people say that, and I'm like, no, we knew it was coming. But back then, I mean, you didn't have the type of weather models you have now and stuff, so probably everything to some aspect was kind of a surprise. But let's take a look at December 18th, 1990. My aunt was working in downtown Seattle at the time. She got stuck in downtown Seattle for 3 days. It took her 3 days to get home. She was absolutely marooned in downtown Seattle, had to stay in a hotel. And look at that polar lobe placement. Bingo. Nice shot. 5120 right over the top of 5140 right over the top of the Pacific Northwest there. And you notice it was progressive and moved down across the area. That's why that Arctic blast was so intense. We had thunder snow, Seattle northbound. Some areas had up over a foot and a half to some of the lower elevations. I remember I was living on Kent East Hill and it swept through and it hit like a sledgehammer. We had 4 inches of quick snow, fairly deep. Lake Meridian, where I was living by out there on Kent Kangley, was like the spray was freezing on the dock. Just an absolutely wild time. But yeah, there is December 1990, December 18. And also, sometimes people forget this. I'm going to scroll all the way towards the end of the month because we had another one at the end of the month. We also had a snowfall on Christmas Day. That was another white Christmas year, 1990. But this was another very powerful blast out of the north. Big time north winds with that. You see the polar lobe swinging down, and that was close enough. It did bring some pretty intense snowfall. I was actually in Everett for that one, staying at a friend's house. And yeah, big time Arctic front came down with that one as well. So fun stuff. Victoria received 44 inches of snow in 2 days. Yeah, Tacoma was just on the south side of that convergence zone. SeaTac got like 2.5, but still 2 inches of snow. You're still fun. It's just not as fun when the area just north of you got 14 inches. I wouldn't say they've changed too much. The chances of snow. There is chance for the Seattle Metro to get some snowfall. Probably best when that low gets down off the Washington, Oregon coast and there's still moisture around, or if some additional system comes in as we go through next week with some cold air in place. Yeah, December 1996, that started actually on Christmas night. We'll look at that one here. Let's take a look at it. I remember we had atmospheric river action going on, and you notice this one is not even that potent of a polar lobe, at least initially. But we'll scroll through here. We go through Christmas Eve. You can see that north flow, kind of the ridge up there across Alaska. Now, do you notice what's happening here as you start to go through the 26th? This Pacific system here with this very cold air that was kind of locked up to the north, then started spilling down across some of the Puget Sound. Look at that setup. You're getting that Pacific moisture running into that Arctic air mass there. Wicked stuff. And if you guys weren't around for this one, we had just huge amounts of rain at the end of the event. We had a freezing rain event in there for some of SeaTac. We had huge amounts across some of Seattle, some of the region. We were having landslides, huge amounts of rain. I remember it was 29 degrees and I was looking outside and it's just pouring down rain. It was just an insane time. And again, I mentioned the landslides and the flooding, urban flooding we had going on. It was just absolutely wild. So North Olympic Peninsula, my daughter watching right now, she wants to know if we're going to get enough snow to sled on. My question is there any similar setup like this one you can recall? That's a tough one because with the lobe spinning out here, there's actually, I forget what year it was, and I don't want to like ruin anyone's fun, but there was a year where we were supposed to get snow and the polar lobe stayed a bit too far out over the water like this, and it really kind of busted and we didn't get a lot of snow across the region. So that one is kind of in the back of my head, and for the life of me, I cannot remember the year, but it was a pretty good bust. I can't remember the exact year that was supposed to happen though. So nothing comes to the top of my head, but there is the chance. I know you live there towards Port Angeles, I believe, right? And so there's the chance for that Fraser River outflow to come across, pick up some of that moisture and deposit it. So it depends on if you want to go away from your house. At your individual house, it depends on your elevation and things like that. But there's the chance that you get enough to sled on, depending on if you can sled on 3 inches of snow or not. But let me scroll ahead on this one now too. But yeah, that's a tough one. Is there going to be enough snow to sled on? That is a good question. I hope so. But yeah, that was the December 1996. If you're around here, you definitely remember that one. Yeah, the Fraser outflow will pick up Sunday night. And if that comes across the strait, right, the only issue is that some of the models have that. If I show you this, let me look at this and see how far this is going out. Do we get the reversal up there on the NAM? It's starting to leak down right there. The only thing is that if the low stays out off the Washington coast there, it might be a little bit too much of an easterly component to where it really isn't butting up against the Olympics too much. That's kind of my concern with the north slope of the Olympic Mountains. You can kind of see that easterly flow pushing more towards Victoria, which means that maybe Victoria would get some better snow out of that. And also, as you're going through the Sunday night and the Monday morning time period, you notice these southerlies meeting with the northeasterlies. That's going to be some good potential for some convergence zone activity going on there. No, this is not a major Arctic outbreak yet, but we're going to get some cold air likely that pours out here. It's probably going to kind of be a slow leakage as we go through Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then you get some higher end snowfall potential as you go through the mid portion and the end of the week here, more of maybe a region-wide snowstorm. But again, the confidence in that right now is fairly low. And I'll show you what I mean on that. I'll show you the GFS. This is the GFS that just ran. Now, we get our convergence zone activity, our very cold air aloft, showers, Saturday, Sunday, rounds of snow moving around, hit and miss action going on. The low starts to retrograde and pull away there, and with it, it pulls some of its moisture away. But again, still on the cusp, trying to spread it up across some of the Seattle metro as you go through the day Tuesday there. And then the upper level low is still here, tries to throw some moisture back north yet again on Wednesday. How far north is that going to go? How much of the Willamette Valley will that include? You can see how difficult this forecast is. And then the GFS was showing this system moving up later on in the week, but it took that away in the 0Z run. But it also now brings a system out of the northwest, which could start a snowfall here across western Washington. So that's where we are right now, according to the GFS. And the models, the European and the GFS, the artificial intelligence, have all been showing either a southwest system, and then they flip the next run, it seems like, to the northwest system coming in here. So we're still trying to get some model agreement on that extended portion. Next slab, lower level water vapor. What does the yellow mean? So are you talking about, I believe you're talking about this. So the yellow down here in the lower level, you're just looking at dry air with that. Is that, I hope that's what you're talking about there. Thanks for the generosity. In 1990, I was 2.5 years old. That's a shame you didn't get the, well, you probably don't remember the storm anyway. Who's better driving in the snow? I don't know. It's hard enough as it is to drive in Seattle with when it snows. The hills are horrible. But yeah, here's where we are right now. Atmospheric river starting into California. Very cold air aloft. If you take a look here, you can see it streaming off of Southeast Alaska. This is cold Arctic air. And when it does so, it picks up some of the moisture off the Pacific Ocean, which is relatively warm, and it starts to form this unstable atmosphere. And you can see these cold air cumulus moving down across the area. I don't see any lightning strikes in there right now, however. And also, this is the lower level water vapor loop. We're probably getting some of that sinking air off to the eastern portions of Vancouver Island and some of the Olympic Mountains there. So you're seeing some of the downsloping winds, and that's kind of what causes some of the rain shadow activity here for the Seattle Metro. You can go from Everett to Seattle, across some of Kitsap Peninsula when the flow aloft is westerly. It's probably what's happening there for Vancouver Island as well. But on the flip side of that, as you're getting compression in some areas, you're getting some convergence in others where the wind is wrapping around the Olympic Mountains and down the Strait of Georgia, through the Strait of Juan de Fuca. You can get all kinds of interesting convergence on activity. And then as the low pivots down the coastline, it'll start to change its trajectory. So then it starts to swing out of the southwest, which could start to include places like Tacoma and Seattle a bit more as we go later through the weekend. You start to bring that flow through the Chehalis Gap, and it doesn't get compressed as much coming off the Olympic Mountains, so you allow for some better snow potential as you go probably later weekend and into early next week. Well, the drought will be helped out by this precipitation. I mean, we're not doing too bad here across Washington and Oregon. So problem with California, though, is that it's Southern California that's under the drought for, California. And then you're getting just these huge amounts across Northern California yet again. So that kind of is not great for them. Right now, we're waiting for the European model to load. If I'm rambling on about something, somebody let me know if it's loading or not. 9:08. I think it starts here any minute. Capitol Forest, you're probably going to get some measurable snowfall out there. Yeah, listen, heed those words from Robert Reeder there. Everybody listen to that. Checking my phone here really quick, make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay, here we go. Someone bought something out of my store. Somebody bought 3 tote bags from my shop. That's kind of interesting. And then just recently, somebody bought 4 mugs. And I reduced the price on that stuff so I don't make any profit on them, just so I can get my brand out there a little bit. So I don't make any money on a lot of the products I sell, but some of them I make a couple bucks per product. Yeah, Kitsap does have some snowfall potential, though, but it keeps showing the northern tip of Kitsap getting less than the southern areas. Like Olympia, Shelton are much less impacted by the terrain features that are the Olympic Mountains. Here, let me zoom in here. I'll give a little tutorial here. So let's zoom way in. We'll go to Seattle because I want to really show the effects the Olympic Mountains can have on things. So as you can see, there's the Olympic Mountains, kind of shows it nicely outlined here. So when you're dealing with this, like this is what we're going through now. We've been watching the radar scope We had the southerlies, the westerlies came blasting through, and that's when the convergence zone really got kicking here. And again, you can see right now we're getting that convergence right around, Everett, Marysville, westerly surge, wrapping around here. So you can see this hanging out, but also at the same time, this flow aloft as we go through Saturday is going to kind of be westerly at times. So in the downslope of that, you get a little bit of compressional heating, and then you end up having kind of a rain shadow here across some of the Seattle metro. And in fact, in order to see that better, I'm going to back out a bit here. We'll go to Pacific Northwest. We can see like, maybe we'll go to 700 millibars there. So you can kind of see the westerly winds as we go on in through the day Saturday, and the Olympic Mountains are right there. So you're going to get some of the rain shadow activity right there. Olympic Mountains are pretty tall. They're taller than the coastal ranges here for Oregon, for example. You don't get as much of that compressional heating out there. It does get these showers making their way into the Portland metro and stuff a little bit better versus on the leeward side of the Olympic Mountains. So we scroll on in through Sunday a bit, and then you notice something happens here. You start to get more of that southwesterly flow. That can start to bring some of the precipitation a little bit closer to the Seattle metro as you go through the day Sunday. Notice those winds aloft start to turn more out of the southwesterly, but then you're going to get somewhat of a rain shadow downstream here. But at the same time, in the immediate wake, you might get a rain shadow, but then you get convergence zone activity maybe a little bit further down line into southwest BC as you're going through Sunday night into Monday. And there's that surface low right there. And speaking of that surface low, let's look at this. Let's go to surface wind and take a look at the Fraser River outflow again one more time, kind of close up, and you can kind of see it start. Look at it start to leak out right there. That's about Sunday at noon. Look at it start to leak out of the northeast, creeping down, little baby Arctic flow starting through the Fraser River gap, back out in towards the Sailor Sea there, just north of the San Juan Islands into Monday morning. So let's take a look here. Let's do the North American 12 kilometer, and we'll go to 10 meter wind speed. You can see the Fraser River outflow continuing on. But you notice it's not really slamming right into the, but it may be here as you go on into Monday afternoon. And the wind will be roaring here as we go on in towards, really on in towards Thursday, at least, probably. You can kind of see the surface load right off the coastline right there. So at the surface, the winds will be out of the north by this point. And you can see the dew points have really fallen off by Tuesday morning. So any moisture left around at this point, spilling back over the area. And I mean, good luck trying to tell me where these showers are going to be spinning around this low. You know there's going to be some. What's the coverage going to be like? How intense are they going to be? How long are they going to last? How much precipitation are they going to drop? Those are big key factors on how much snowfall you're going to get. And look at these dew points here across the Fraser River Valley here. Negatives. And when you're below 32, I mean, you're going to get some evaporative cooling. So if Seattle's 35 on the day Monday, and then by the time the shower moves over, you get that quick evaporative cooling, you start to get some of that accumulating snowfall. Yeah, the Willamette Valley is probably going to get their better chances of snow as we go through the upcoming week. Yeah, I feel you. It's hard to get snow here in the Pacific Northwest, but at the same time, every once in a while we get a month like December 2008, or we get February 2019, or we get December 2021 or 22, and you end up getting, you get a little bit spoiled during those months, and all of a sudden the snow machine shuts off. And it's been 25 months now since we've had a day that's had more than an inch of snow in Seattle. 25 months. That's a long time, especially when you're a snow lover living up here. Oh, give me a break. So still not running yet. Sometimes WeatherBell is a little bit slow. Let's do this. So we've got European data here on the College of, nope, we don't. Or do we? Nope, it's 0Z. We don't have it yet. You can kind of see Washington under there a little bit. There's that polar lobe dropping down right off our coastline. Wish that thing would just be a little bit off to the east. Goodness, what do we have to do to make that happen? Such a tricky forecast with it right there. Look at that, just kind of spinning right across Vancouver Island and out over our coastal waters. Kind of nicely shows that cold air here out across the Gulf of Alaska moving into the Pacific Northwest. Problem is you can't really see the states that well. You got to really like kind of home in, but you can also see the Arctic air to the north kind of nicely. But again, the height values and the wind barbs kind of make it hard to see. So I wouldn't really want to use this on a full-time basis unless they could get better sectors. And then the problem is if you come in here and you go to northwest, now you can't see the Pacific Ocean. You see the problem there? We'll back all the way up, and you can see the cold air arriving tonight. So yeah, it's no fun when you can't see the entirety of Vancouver Island and what's coming downstream there. So I wish they would work that out a little bit better. And I could also do tropical tidbits. This has a little bit better look here. If we go to forecast models, we'll go to global, we'll go to European, and we go down to regions. Check this out. This one you can at least see. It's still, I wish it was still a little bit further off to the west. I want to see more of the Gulf of Alaska here. So it would be kind of difficult to use this. And then the problem with tropical tidbits here is you go down and you don't have as many parameters to visit. So you can see the winds coming off the continent here. Oh, we don't want to do that. And then you see the surface load there. But that surface load pulling away makes me nervous. It makes me nervous. I wish it was staying a little bit closer here. What you want is that stronger polar lobe and the surface load to be just orientated and just kind of creep down across, maybe down into the Willamette Valley or something like that. And this one is like bobbing and weaving off the coastline. But at the same time, maybe it'll pick up enough moisture and run it back over some cold air that gets in place. So there's several different scenarios that can unfold here. We just have to play the long waiting game. November 5th, 2022. Why is that not coming to my memory? Oh, yeah, let's do it. Let's go to November 2022. You put the $5 in the hat, so we'll go ahead and look at that. We'll go to November 3rd. We'll start there. What do we have here? 500 millibar geopotential height. Okay, so here we go, November 4th. That's the 5th here. So I'm wondering what's going on. Was this some kind of convergence zone setup? What was? I wish that I knew exactly what happened. And you had 5 inches of snow. Was that on the north end of? I mean, it looks like possible convergence zone activity. Fairly robust low moving through British Columbia. Nice pressure rise behind that. Pretty windy. I mean, I'm not sure where would. Yeah, if you want to let me know where you got that, where you had 5 inches of snowfall with that, that'd be, or maybe you're thinking of a different date. Or maybe it was further. There we go. Okay, there's something. So maybe it was a little bit later in the period. Because that's Arctic air hung up there with the surface flow off the coastline there. That would be Fraser River outflow pushing into the Olympic Mountains. There we go. Yeah, so I scrolled further. This is what you're talking about then here. That looks somewhat similar. That is somewhat of a similar setup a little bit here. So yeah, if you got 5 inches out of that one, maybe you'll get lucky out of this one as well. But this low is more progressive, and this Arctic air is really pushing out pretty quick. You notice our upper level low spins a little bit more. And I don't know. It does spend some time off the coastline there too. But yeah, there you go. November 2022. Yeah, I remember the end of November it got cold here as well. It's a pretty strong ridge there. Let's scroll off into the future a bit more. Yeah, it's a pretty powerful lobe there moving down at the end of November. But it does weaken. It becomes much more comparable to what we had now, but you see it's a little bit better place. It does move across the region. That's a little bit better. Yeah, you start getting some elevation here across the region, and you're definitely going to do better with snowfall amounts. February 13th, 2021. I remember that one. That was a good one. Wrong way. The euro's probably starting to run now, but I'm going to try to wait a little bit more here. So did we already have, we must have had cold air in place. Let me back this up. Yeah, so we had cold air in place. You see that polar lobe and the ridge out here. So we're definitely in the cold, more northerly flow there. So we had cold air in place. And then as we scroll to the 11th, that's right. Okay, so then we brought in this next system here. That was a pretty crazy storm. I remember it got pretty windy too, and we had some power flashes and some power outages with that one also. Yeah, we did do 2019 earlier here tonight. Well, I'll go over it one more time since it was a pretty intense storm. But this is a good example as well as what is going on. This polar lobe, for example, this is stronger than what we're dealing with now. Even though this came out over the water, it's stronger, it was more progressive, and it moved down the coastline there. Ours is more hung up over the coast, and it's weaker. So it's not going to be February 2019, but it doesn't still mean things can't be pretty entertaining. Okay, let's check the European here. There we go. How much do we have? So there we go, Saturday morning, convergent zone activity. Yeah, in the early stages, it likes to jump ahead. So there we go. We're going to compare it to the 12Z. Actually, let's do the 18Z because I want to see what that does have that system out there. So we'll just let it kind of load here for a little bit. Stand by. Okay. Where are we at now? Ooh, hour 54 already. Here we go. Pretty similar through 54 hours. I mean, even the surface low looks remarkably similar. Arctic boundary across southern BC. Cold air trying to spill out. Again, man, this is going to be... There's going to be some disappointed people and some happy people because there's definitely going to be some big variations in snowfall amounts. Still 873 people watching. Thanks for everybody joining the chat tonight. You guys make the channel possible. Everybody that watches every single day, the members that support the channel, all the super thanks, allows me to consider to do this full time. I could make the channel even better. Sudden shower of mix between Highway 9, Lake Stevens, and Marysville. Monday might be okay out of Portland, but always call ahead and check to see if there's delays going on. You don't have to be getting accumulating snow on the cement to cause airport delays. All you need to do is accumulate it on the cold metal wings of the planes. Always remember that, because you'll get there and it's like, what do you mean there's no snow sticking on the cement? It's like, oh, well, it's sticking on your plane's wings and you're not taking off with that stuff on your wings. So you got to de-ice. Then you try to de-ice 15 planes. It takes a long time. Big delays. So always remember that when you're flying out. Hour 57. If I'm not mistaken, it looks like the actual Arctic boundary is even further south. But the surface low... Okay, we got hour 6. Okay, recheck that here. That's close. It's not worth picking at yet. Little tiny bit stronger surface low here versus what was going on at the 12, 18Z. You can kind of see the rain shadowing going on for some of the central sound in there as well. Yeah, metal cools very quickly. Seattle Metro is right here. In fact, I'll change this color here to get it off that. Let me just do black. There's the Seattle Metro there. There's Portland, Spokane, Blue Mountains, Boise, Montana. There's Vancouver Island. Yeah, if you guys have radar scope, you can do reports also. So like if you're seeing snow mixing in with the rain, this is another good reason to get an app like this. Oh, I forgot how to do it on my desktop. Oh, I'm drawing a blank here. It'll come to me if I sit here long enough, but there's reports over here. There's spotter reports, storm reports, MPing reports. But why am I drawing a blank on how to do? Yeah, I'm totally drawing a blank here. I always use my smartphone for it. So let's see. Somebody will probably chime in here and let me know. Oh, why can't I remember this? I'm sitting here thinking that I'll remember any second, but oh, wait, there we go. Was that, no, there's some kind of, is it not on here? Oh, that's right. You can also do it here. So let's do that. So go ahead and go to this site if you want, or just Google MPing. You can get an app. When you see it start to snow, you put in an MPing report. You can also do it on some of the weather model apps like I was talking about with Radar Scope, but I couldn't even get it up. So yeah, there's an app you can download here. Yeah, I thought it was the share button in the bottom right as well, but it is. No, it doesn't allow me here. I thought that's, yeah, I don't know. I don't know, Centralia, you look like you're going to be kind of under the gun here with far as some snow potential. Okay, let's do this. Because again, I like the suspense. First, let's just walk through this a little bit here. So as you see, we go through the day Sunday. There are some little areas of moderate snow showing up for some of the Seattle metro here. Coastal ranges out towards the coast. I mean, it looks kind of widespread there. Tacoma, Olympia. Then we go through Monday morning again, Sunday night into Monday morning. You can see some of this still out and about, convergence zone activity. And then we bring this next round. This was going to be interesting on Monday night. This is when I think Seattle might pick up a little bit of measurable snow there also. And that's where we stop right now. This is very early Tuesday morning, Monday night. You can still see additional precipitation chances with that. And look at that, Seattle at 27 with precipitation. That's going to be impactful. So you're definitely going to want to check here, you guys. I mean, those are pretty cold temperatures. You see we drop down towards freezing. We go through Monday evening. There's Monday at 8 p.m. And then by Tuesday morning, you're starting to look at temperatures in the upper 20s with precipitation around. That's high impact stuff. 26 Centralia, 26 Portland, Willamette Valley falling off a cliff at that time as well. So again, be aware of that. Yeah, Tuesday morning, man, look at that. Okay, that's close enough where that would be kind of disruptive. So there's still potential, you guys. There's definitely potential. There's multiple rounds of potential. What I'm curious about right now is also to see what it's bringing as we go through the midweek period. Are we going to see something come out of the southwest or out of the northwest this round? 34 degrees, moderate rain at 2,000 feet near Stevens Pass. You are probably going to go to snow here pretty quick over the next couple hours. 10-1 GFS, 75 plus inches for the snow for the Sierra Nevada. Yeah, and by the way, look at that down for California. Look at this atmospheric river. I mean, goodness gracious. Look at that just pouring in Northern California, bumping up into Oregon and bouncing around there. And it looks like this is good. This is the Southern California storm at the very bottom. That's that low developing. That's likely going to bring a pretty decent frontal system to Southern California as we go through next week. So that's a thumbs up with that. Yeah, if you guys just subscribe, we can check. Actually, here, let me look at that. We picked up a few hundred subscribers over the last day or so. Okay, so I'm going to go to my channel here, and I'm going to go to studio, and we will do this. I'm trying to delay for some time here. We're trying to let the European model. By the way, we're running this hot off the press. The 0Z European model is running in effect. So here we go. Yeah, we're almost 94,000 now. I think just a couple days ago we were at 93, if I'm not mistaken. Where was that? Yeah, 28th we were at 92.9. So here, go ahead and click subscribe and see if the numbers jump up. John and Ann, thank you very much for the generosity. Central Oregon, yes, you're going to have a chance for some significant snowfall as well. It's going to be really a lot of moisture down there, and yes, there is definite chances for that. Mixing snow 400 feet north of Arlington. Keith Evans, thank you for the update. That's awesome. And look at that. We just went over 93,901. Click like or click subscribe, everybody. If you see this, click subscribe. There we go. People are clicking. There we go. We got 2 more. 6,000 more to go. See if we can get it during this event. Go tell your friends about the channel. Pam D, welcome to second channel support. Thank you very much for supporting. There we go. 2 more people subscribed. It's pretty cool watching this. This is updating live on YouTube. There's so many cool things to look at. There we go. Somebody else just subscribed. And I'm stalling right now. We're trying to let the European run here a little bit. Let me see if I can do this without like showing all my personal information on here, but okay, I'm just going to close that down here. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate tab. I'll bring the subscribers back up. Analytics. And look at that. We got like 17 more subscribers here just in a few minutes. Awesome. Stars in the sky, windy in Victoria. I think that's a bit of the downsloping wind there off the west wind there coming off of Vancouver Island. Pause Gooseles. Welcome to second channel support. Oh, did I just lose 3 subscribers? What happened there? Somebody clicking back and forth? There was one, back in the earlier days of Twitter, my children were watching one of my videos, or one of my tweets had gone kind of viral, and it just reached 1,000 likes. And then it clicked back down to 999 and somebody clicked off of it. And my kids thought that was so funny. Now, what are we doing? Gusting to 31 at my house now. There we go. Oh, look at that. We got a 34 mile per hour gust. 32 again. So yeah, we're up at 34 miles per hour at my house here. Pretty windy out there. Okay. Where were we? The new European is on the run. Yeah, so Monday night, Tuesday is pretty interesting here for some of the Puget Sound. You can see some of that moisture move back up over there, and we'd be below freezing. So that would be instant accumulation there. Then we get a break. Like Wednesday, but then look at that. Okay, there we go. That's where we're talking. So here we go. This is Wednesday afternoon. Let's go to Wednesday evening once this precipitation starts. And that's probably Western Oregon, Willamette Valley's best chance for snow with this system here. You see the upper level low finally starts to kick inland a bit here, kicking some of that precipitation, Pacific moisture back up into the region. That could be an interesting feature right there hanging around the coast. And then we bring another system here towards the Oregon coast again. And these are going to be kind of on the chilly side. So let's take a look here. We'll back out and we're going to go to 12Z Wednesday morning. In fact, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do duplicate tab. We're going to go to, we'll just go to surface temperature here. So here we go. We scroll out towards, I think it was Wednesday 12Z we want. So we warm up a bit on the day Tuesday, but then we crash back down Tuesday evening. I think that's what we wanted, wasn't it? There we go, 12Z on Wednesday. Plenty cold enough for snow with that next system. That would be quite interesting for the Willamette Valley and for Western Washington, portions of Southwest Washington. Plenty cold for snow there. And this white line there, that's below 0 Fahrenheit. This isn't Celsius, that's Fahrenheit. That's very cold. Please stay live a little later. A lot of people here and I want to keep watching because I love it. Is fun to look at this stuff. That's definitely, let's see, any more? No, look at that. We're up to 29. See how we've picked up, what, over 30 subscribers just during the last few minutes or so. Anything new from Seattle National Weather Service? Latest radar band shows a band of heavy rain moving towards the I-5 corridor. Boom, boom, boom. They don't mention the snow mixing in yet. Washington State Patrol with a reminder, slow down, increase your following distance, yada, yada, yada. That was 5 hours ago, 5 hours ago. Official forecast here. Look at Seattle, Washington. 7-day mean and high low temperatures. Pretty darn right chilly. Western Washington weather. Matt went up to Snoqualmie Pass this morning, so check that out if you want to see some of the snow up there. Hope we can see some of that snow down to lower elevations. Dew point Tacoma 39. Yep. So that precipitation is really rolling in as we go through Wednesday afternoon. We do go above freezing really quick, and then we're back down below there as we go through Wednesday evening. So it's going to be marginal, but once that precipitation is falling, okay, so won't get too far ahead of myself. Hold on a second here. So as we go on in towards Wednesday evening, look at these dew points. They're in the 20s. So you're going to get, what's the peak dew point there during the day? So yeah, even though it showed 33 for Seattle there, it's going, oh, Dave Mack, thank you very much. 1990 was the weirdest snowfall. That was an awesome storm. Yes, agreed. Thanks for the generosity, Dave Mack. So yeah, Wednesday afternoon, even though it shows Seattle at 33, the dew point's at 24. So when that precipitation starts, you're immediately going to get evaporative cooling that would plunge that temperature back down towards 30 degrees or so for Seattle, and you'd get accumulating snowfall. So that's at 0Z on Thursday. And there you go, 30 degrees. Lucky kind of guess there or whatever, but you can see the precipitation moving back up. This is in the upper 20s, this precipitation falling on Wednesday with this system. Same thing for some of the Willamette Valley here. So that is going to be an interesting, as this upper level low finally kicks through as we go through next week. And then we get this next one rolling in Oregon as well. Dave Mack. Yeah, 1990. That was awesome. I was actually going to Kentwood High School then. I remember actually stopping by the sports card store on the way home and seeing Seattle just in gridlock with snow, and there was not one flake in the air on Kent East Hill. And I was like, what's going on? This thing just stalled. It's not going to come. And then it started moving again, and it swept through and just hammered us also. Boom, Dave, Matt coming in big there. Awesome. So yeah, that's good stuff. I mean, we've got a couple rounds of snowfall potential here for the region. And actually, let's do this. We don't want to miss out on this. Let's go to, we're going to zoom in a bit here, and we're going to take a look at winter, and we're going to look at positive snow depth change in inches. Start over again. Let's get, what happened there? Copilot. Okay. What does the European show as we go through the overnight hours? Look at that little tiny first snow band showing up there. This is snow that will be accumulating. Look at that, right near 101 there, just off to the west of the Kitsap Peninsula. Some snow accumulating very early tomorrow morning out towards Forks. A little bit of snow starting to stick on some of the surfaces out there, maybe just into Snohomish County a bit there. Everett, Lake Stevens, anybody? See it creeping in here as we go through Saturday morning. You're getting up towards an inch out there just outside of Tacoma. I mean, Highway 12 back and forth. Again, you're up over 2-3 inches for Forks by tomorrow morning, if you believe the European. Then again, this is not one of those cherry-picked snow maps. This is the accumulated positive snow depth change in inches. Southwest BC, Vancouver, 1.3. Here we go through Saturday night. There we go. Look at it starting to pile up there a little bit across Southwest BC. Look at Seattle goes over an inch at some portion on the day Sunday morning. Olympia, you're up over 2 inches by Sunday morning. Puyallup, Spanaway areas out there, it looks like start to get up over a couple inches. You can see areas north. There's Arlington. I believe that may be Anacortes there. But look at Southwest BC, British Columbia, 8 inches. Look at Forks. Are you kidding me? You're looking at 7, 8, 9 inches of snowfall out there. I may have to go out to the coast on Sunday. Now we scroll through Monday morning. Kind of see a little bit of adding on there. Kitsap Peninsula, some of the south portion right there on this very southern portion, 1.6, not bad. Tacoma, maybe towards 2 inches. SeaTac, 1.3. But look off across like Auburn and East Hill. You're talking 2, 3, 4, 5 inches of snow there. We creep out towards Tuesday morning now. 1.8 at SeaTac. Look at just near Olympia. You're talking 6+ inches of snowfall. Portions of Skagit, Whatcom County, again, especially right away from the water. You're starting to get some big amounts across some of Whatcom County. Huge amounts there, showing up over a foot for some areas. Next system starts rolling in. Look at SeaTac bump up 1.8, 2.7 by the time you get towards Wednesday night. Another inch of snow there. I-5 corridor, very close there. 2, 3, 4, 5 inches of snowfall. Washington coast, maybe we'll get some snow out to the beaches. Oregon range as well. Now, it does show kind of hit and miss there across some of the Willamette Valley, but you notice that last bump there as we went through Thursday. So can you just scroll ahead and then maybe another system rolling in after that. So you can kind of see how things may unfold, at least according to the European model. But I got to warn you, there's some bust potential with this. If this upper level low, if the Arctic air isn't coming in strong enough, the upper level low is weaker, or if it pushes back a little far off to the west, and the models are overdoing some of the moisture, it's spreading back up across the region. And then you can see there's going to be people across some of the Tri-Cities there and Moses Lake and whatnot. They're like, hey, where's our snowfall? You know, but yeah, so there you go. There's positive snow depth change in inches. And there's actual snow depth. So you can kind of see that 2-inch line very close to SeaTac there. You know, a couple 2, 3 inches maybe up and down the I-5 corridor. A lot more for Forks, Southwest BC. 2, 3, 4, 5. You see as you go towards the foothills, you get a bit more there also. Look at Pacific Northwest wet dirty. Okay, so yeah, you can see the westerly surge come in there right there. Zoom out a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. One of my old rules with Pacific Northwest snowfall was it's always harder to get snow than you think. But once it starts snowing, it usually snows a little more than what was predicted. That's just kind of like what an old rule that I always used to kind of keep in the back of my mind. Not necessarily always true, but a lot of times these systems will overperform for some given areas, and some other given areas they will underperform. And I'm just hoping this isn't just an overall bust as a whole, because there's still that possibility. Yeah, there's chance. There's going to be a chance here as you go through next week for Salem, Oregon. Wind is picking up in Pendleton, Snowmageddon. 35 degrees at Forks already. So that cold air aloft is rushing in. And yeah, there it is. I mean, Forks is right. This is going to be a really big snowfall for portions of Highway 101. And once you get towards the Hoh Rainforest, Highway 12 going back and forth, there's going to be some big snowfalls out here on the Washington coast. Not looking like a big freezing rain event as of right now. There's a chance the models could change. It was showing that at times over the last few days, but right now it's not showing that big freezing rain event. Let's update this. Let's take a look at this. The European. In fact, no. I want to zoom in a little bit here. This is dew point temperature. So I do just want to kind of see what these do as we go on into this extended portion of the forecast through next week. You can kind of see the slow drop on some of these dew points here as we go on in through Tuesday. Check it out. We really start to drop things off here as we go through Wednesday. But then that system's going to come through and moisten things up. But it's not going to be enough to get things above freezing when that system comes in on Wednesday, most likely. And that's going to be changing, multiple times as we get closer to that event. And then the next system here, we stay cold. Oh, and that's something else we want to check here too. I want to scrap this for a second. Let's go to North America, and we're going to go to upper level heights. We want to check general ridge and trough position. We're going to go to 500 millibar heights. So here goes our polar lobe. Kind of gets closed right off our coastline. That's why the retrograde happens there. And then we have it hanging out. But, you think just because the polar lobe is gone does not mean the cold air is gone yet. We still have this north flow. Now let's see what happens. The ridge stays in place. We're still kind of in this chilly north flow. That's kind of a pretty interesting looking lobe there. We'll see how that goes. But you can kind of see we may remain in kind of a chillier pattern here as we go on in towards mid-February. No promises. This is going to change probably back and forth. But I want to compare this versus the 12Z run here, for example. It kind of had something similar there, but this was much more pinched off there. But it was, again, we're looking off in the future. I'm just trying to see if we're supposed to remain below normal. I don't see any additional huge polar lobes on this run coming down, but we could still remain on the chilly side. We'll see how that goes. It's not really worth getting caught up in that too much at this point, but there's the potential to stay below normal as we go through the mid portion of February. Yeah, so I heard that the whole Rainforest Road was closed. Is that still true? Yeah, so it is temporarily closed. When is reopening? Okay, so it's saying it is closed, but how far up? Is it closed all the way up the road? I don't know. Maybe somebody could find that out for me. I don't want to be searching too much here and just kind of ignoring the chat or anything, but No, that's not it. Yeah, if anybody knows information about the whole Rainforest Road, let me know if you would. I don't want to research it here while you guys are listening to me do it. So you can go 9 miles back up in there, is that right? Or is that on Highway 1? Is it closed at 101? Or can you drive back in there enough? You don't need to go all the way to the whole rainforest in this scenario. You're going to get snow before that. Let's check it out here really quick. Because the rainforest is pretty far back in there. I don't know. I can't imagine it's closed at 101, right? Because I wouldn't want to go all the way back in there. I would just want to go back maybe up one of these roads here. Yeah, you wouldn't need to go in that far. There's probably also other areas you could go in as well. Anyway, if anybody has any information, let me know. No, on the Upper Ho Road, not 101. So you can go in a ways. 18 miles from 101. Okay, yeah, if you guys know if it's closed. Yeah, I don't want to go to the rainforest up there. I just want to go in off of 101 a couple miles. I live near SeaTac, Normandy Park. Okay, yes, she should be good. Yeah, it might be fun. You might see a whole rainforest sign or something like that with snow on it and whatnot. And there'll be a lot of snow out there. So this is something I'll consider doing. Let's take a look at the 0Z GFS extended also. See what it looks like. There's our polar lobe here. Then it ejects through. How far does that ridge come crashing in here? Oh, we bring another one down there. There's another chilly upper level low. Yeah, so we may remain on the chilly side of things. The wind is whipping in West Seattle. 28 miles per hour right now at my house. Oh, look at that. We got a 36 mile per hour gust here recently. All right, everybody, we checked out the European. So, okay, Farhan just sent me some super chat there. Thank you, Farhan. Let's see what you're asking. I'll see you on the coast this weekend, Cape D or north, undecided. Probably further north. That's the better chance. Probably, it looks like the snow's getting closer to the line, but it would be so awesome to see snow on Cape Disappointment. Can you imagine seeing it on the rocks around where the waves are and stuff? That might be something to consider as well. But I will live stream as well, so you guys will know where I'll be. So if anybody wants to come out and say hi, I will be out and about, probably at some point today or tomorrow. But I'll do my normal briefings tomorrow. I'll probably be out chasing on Sunday. I'll probably still do a briefing then, and we'll just continue to watch things go. And yeah, it's still looking like somebody's going to get some nice snowfall amounts. We'll just keep working on the forecast as we get closer. What else? Yeah, thanks again, everybody, for your generosity. And what else? I will just go ahead and do my normal briefing tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys later. Thanks again, everybody, for showing up. Oh yeah, and guys, give Ryan a shout out. Look at him up on X. Check him out. VOUTILAINEN. Great communicator. He lives up in British Columbia, Vancouver, downtown. Okay, I am out of here for now, and I will do my normal